We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig.
You decide when you lose, not other people.
And Blabs.
I like pickles.
And co-hosted by our friends from around the internet. Today with Melanie Mack.
Makes your skin soft and...
And in this world of insanity, we are graciously supported by fans of common sense. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on God's green earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and SideScrollersPodcast.com. What is going on, everybody? Hey, I'm Stuttering Craig. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yes, it is Wednesday. It is Hump Day. That's right. And we're going to have a great show today. We have so much to talk about in the video game entertainment space. It's amazing how that works out. So much to share. But first and foremost, hello, Blabs. Great to see you.
Hello, I want to point out, I am the adult, chat. I am the adult, not Craig. I am.
Well established a long time ago, Blabs. That's right. Why? Fill everybody in. Why?
Right, I was talking about the weather and how 6 inches of rain could be a thing, and Craig starts speaking.
No. To be clear, you said we could get 6 inches.
And I'm just talking about the weather, guys, like just nonchalance. And he was like, and I'm like, what's so funny? I thought he was reading something on the internet. I'm like, he's like, you said 6 inches.
It's because you said we're gonna get 6
You're
inches.
such a child.
Come on, Melody, is that funny?
That is funny.
Listen, I'll tell you, there's this whole thing about when it comes to men at the end of the day,
Men like inches, yes.
Men like no.
Oh,
Most men don't. Most men don't.
No, you like having your own.
Men like these inches, the python inches.
There you go.
Men resort to saying it's not the size, it's how you use it because they're like deflecting.
Yes. Yeah. Most of the time it is major deflection. That's right.
So it's true then. They love big inches.
Well, look, welcome to Side Scrollers, everybody. The #1 video game and entertainment podcast on planet Earth. We're glad you guys have joined us today. Melanie, how are you? It's been a bit.
I am doing fantastic. I'm so excited to be here. Missed you guys. Missed everybody in chat. So excited for today's show.
Man, I'll tell you what, we're glad you're here. This today could be a really great show. I'm actually very excited about it because, the hornet's nest has been kicked simply by just saying, let's have an alternative to something. And the establishment is pissed. They are pissed at this straight white man launching an alternative, which is in the video game industry is a cardinal sin.
Oh yeah, not in these days. We need more diversity.
That's right. The diversity is real. But I'll say this. So today we may be joined by one of the bigger critics of the establishment access media, Nick Calandra, who has been on the show before when they first launched Second Wind. But he has been very critical of the Real Game Awards and the announcement that I announced yesterday. And what happened was everything was great, and then overnight, someone like popped off and commented and made a snarky remark, and then all like the people with flags in their bios came out and were like, right? So look, I've been on the internet for a long time. I get it; it's fine. That stuff doesn't hurt me, but I do like to have conversations. So Nick potentially, maybe scheduled, possibly. Maybe coming on in a little bit to actually talk about those gripes, which should be really great because I'm all about people stepping over the lines and coming over and having conversation, which could be a really great thing and show all these people, everybody, people in our audience, people in their audience, how to have a conversation, which is great. So we'll see. And you could be a part of that, Mel, which will be really great.
I'm stoked. This is good because we are always being written off as just haters. We hate everybody. We hate everything. We hate this group or that group, and that's all we're doing. And so if they actually have conversations with us, they can see that's not the case. But I mean, I think I think it's pretty disingenuous to make those claims against us anyway. I don't know if they actually think that, but some people do. I think that some people who just hear that narrative constantly believe it without actually taking the time to hear us out with stuff. But hey, I hope he does come on because I think this would be a great conversation.
Well, he just realized we're doing the show now, and he says, I got a shower. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, you
At
know.
least he's not going to be grotty when he comes live.
That's right.
Yes, he will be fresh and clean, looking great.
So spread the word. Listen, this could be a great thing today, or it could be an absolute disaster. But the point is that, listen, we invite all conversation on this show. Unlike other shows, we invite all conversation on our show, all perspectives. And I can't wait to hear this perspective because I know in my heart this is a great idea. And you know what? Over 200 people think it's a good idea at this point too. So anyways, look, we're going to have a great show today. We're glad you're here, Mel. Blabs, as always, you are the adult in the room, which is wonderful. I would like to remind everybody we are live.
The youngest one here. She's
right.
the adult.
We are live over at rumble.com/sidescrollers. Do us a favor, hit the follow button over there and continue to grow over there a little bit more every single day. We're closing in on that 8,000, which is great. Blabs, why do we love Rumble?
Because it grows organically.
That's
Just
right.
like the 6 inches and rain and everything. Yes. Unlike Viagra.
Who's the adults in the room, Blabs?
Still me.
Okay, still you sure? Okay, sounds good. We also have an X account where you can watch the show or you can find out who's going to be on the show. You could have found out that Melanie was coming back by simply following us over there. So make sure you follow us over there and get clips and stuff. We also have an Instagram account, don't we, Blabs? And if they don't follow, something
No
good
sandwiches.
Whoa, no sandwiches.
And Melanie's going to run you over with a brand new Jeep.
Yes.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I am so excited.
She's gonna be like
amazing.
Cher from that movie in the 90s. I can't remember, but she's gonna be like, oops, I didn't even see that.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
How long have you wanted a Jeep?
I mean, I always said I either wanted a Jeep or a Hummer. That was like my dream car, but Hummers got discontinued, so Jeep it is. I'm so excited because usually my past couple of cars I've had were just, let me find what's the most affordable new car that I can get, and I'll get that. And now it was like, okay, I got to get my dream car, and I got a great deal on it, so I'm excited.
Awesome. Good for you. I'm glad you got your dream car. I'm glad everything's worked out. And you get to drive around and run over. Are you going to like go off-roading with the Jeep?
I've got to go tomb raiding. It has to happen. So I'll be figuring that out.
Well, you could start an entire Jeep channel.
I could.
YouTube.com/@MelsJeep.
I need to add mods to it and stuff.
Wait, do you have a Wrangler or is it a Rubicon?
It's a Wrangler.
No, see, you could just be Mel's Wrangler. That's
There
it.
we go.
Wrangling with Mel. Oh my god.
Wrangling.
There
I
you go.
love it.
You got to do the duck thing too. Isn't that a thing with Jeeping?
It is. And at the dealership, they gave me it was a gigantic green rubber ducky. So that was my first one. So I can't wait until I get a rubber ducky in the wild. That'll be exciting.
You got to explain that because we went on a family vacation a couple years ago when we rented a Jeep, and we just like randomly had a.
You guys got a ducky?
we got like 3 ducks on our vacation, and we were like, "What the hell's happening?" And then somebody had to explain. So explain the duck thing for those.
All
who don't
right,
know.
guys. So in the Jeep community, if other Jeep owners will see another Jeep owner, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's a nice Jeep," so they put a rubber ducky on their Jeep. And they collect them. Some people will put them all on their dashboards. It's really fun.
It's like a little gift. It's like a little acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Like, what's up,
That's the
fellow
thing
Jeepers?
is Jeep owners, they're really passionate about owning Jeeps. So I'm excited to be in the community now.
Dude, listen, you are from Texas. People who are really passionate about living in Texas. You got a Jeep. Like Mel. Like this lines up. This is on brand for you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
It is.
Well, look, we could do Jeep talk all day long, but I would like to remind everybody we also you can listen to the show over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can find us over at sidescrollerspodcast.com, which redirects to our locals page. If you want to support over there, you can. But more than anything, you can just sign up, make a free membership over there, and get notified every time we go live, which, obviously doesn't always happen over on YouTube, doesn't always happen anywhere else, but it will over on Locals. With that said, if it's your first time tuning in over here on YouTube, hello, great to see you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and join the 87,262 normal men who love common sense in the video game and entertainment space. Appreciate your support and hit that subscribe button. Continue to grow with us. Let's do our best to hit 1,000 likes as we're halfway there right at the start of the show. And let's do our best to hit 25 memberships. So with that said, we did have a big announcement yesterday. Today's show is going to be brought to you by the Real Game Awards. You can become a voting member over at the realgameawards.com. A lot of people have hopped in over there and wanted to reclaim their voice, which I'm sure has journalists seething, which we're going to have examples of. So once again, head over there, become a member, a voting member, and so you can vote and nominate and create categories and all sorts of stuff. It's truly a show for gamers by gamers, which, is kind of cringe, but at the end of the day, I can't think of a better way to describe it. So there we go. Let's get rolling here right at the bat. Xander says, Real Game Awards. Is Craig the new Dorito King? No, you left out and Mountain Dew. No. Thanks, Xander. Appreciate that. There's been a lot of people, by the way, to be totally clear, right? Do I think the Game Awards themselves are incredibly sterile and boring and corporate? Yes. Mm-hmm. But I do admire Jeff Keighley for taking that risk. Now, he does come from an incredibly wealthy family. So that risk isn't exactly, but Jeff, like I said, I think it's great that he took that risk. I've always said I admire anybody for taking a business risk venture and going after it. But do I like his product? No. It doesn't, so let's create an alternative.
I do like Jeff though. He's cool.
Yeah, he's a very vanilla guy. Very vanilla.
But yeah, I definitely think that we need to see something less corporate feeling, less mainstream feeling with a Game Awards type thing where you're not relying on the companies liking you and not blacklisting you.
Right. And it's amazing because I love the idea of Mark the Cyborg actually nailed this when it comes to this event as a whole. And he said the membership model will fund this show without taking on any sponsors, right?
Yes, I like that.
It's either member funded, like the Real Game Awards, or it's a marketing event.
Exactly. And that's the thing. A lot of us YouTubers have encountered these kind of situations as well. Is whenever I used to do a lot of game hosting and I had to be more on the mainstream side of things, it's like I had to hold back on keep some opinions to myself about Tomb Raider, for example, the reboot stuff. I would even try to talk about, I like the classic stuff better. I hope they get more to that. But I had to hold myself back to a degree because it was if I go too hard on this, I'm going to get blacklisted from Crystal Dynamics. And then, they're not going to want to support me, be supportive of what I'm doing and give me codes or anything like that or sponsor anything. And so once I reached that point of okay, I'm not going to just rely on sponsors and stuff anymore. Let me go ahead and get canceled. I'd rather just be completely independent. And that's the way to be in this space because all the mainstream stuff, they rely so much on, especially with journalist website, on ad buys, and getting codes ahead of time with having a good relationship with these gaming companies. So there's only so much that they can say if they're being negative about something without risking blacklisted.
It goes back to access every single time. Goes back to access. Do we have access? And you're right. You're right. So you got to bite your tongue the entire time. Otherwise, you may not get that code. Listen, I've been there. I played the game. I totally understand it. And it certainly is a game. John came in as a member for 14 months. It's Wednesday, my dude. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Stay at home Hippo says, afternoon, bro chachos. And the day got better with Melanie on stream. By the way, Craig, is there a veterinarian in the house? Because those pythons are sick.
I love that gamer hippo. So cute. A gamer hippo.
Thanks, stay-at-home hippo. Appreciate that. Vimarine says, funny, they said, if you don't like it, make your own. Now that we have some of our own game awards, they go ballistic, right? Right.
Yep.
Jason says, just remember that the best-selling game of 2023 and one of the highest reviewed was completely ignored by the Game Awards over politics. Right.
Oh, that's true.
Joey says, Craig is a normal man with normal man humor. And anyone says, do you think we could get 6 inches? That's right. Yes, absolutely, Joey. I laugh at dick jokes. Worthy one says, Static Jones right there says, I had your back in the comments, the video, bro. The guy wants the smoke. Yeah, well, maybe he'll come on. Like I said, he's scheduled to come on. We'll see. Ian the Icarus says, a frontman made the mistake of wading into the Nick Calandra thing on X and is fighting for his life in the comments. Wish him luck. Just ignore it. It doesn't matter. X is not real life.
That's true.
It doesn't matter. Don't fight. It's no big deal. Josh Sketcho says, do any of you guys plan to go to any cons anytime soon? Would love to see you guys at something like MagFest. Yes, actually, I will be at a convention you may have heard of this month, actually. San Diego Comic-Con. I'll be there at the tail end of this month, and we're doing a big thing at Big Man Comics for Gabe's birthday. I think it's all filled up, the fan meetup, but I will be at San Diego Comic-Con coming up here in just a few weeks. So outside of that, I don't plan on doing anything outside of Texas for the rest of the year. But maybe we do our own event. Maybe. Like I said, I'm all about creating a parallel economy. So we'll see. I got a few projects coming, and it'll all make sense. So once again, side scrollers is the vessel. Everything else comes based off of side scrollers. So there we go. Dan says, so sad. I wanted to teach Melanie what the word bassoon is called in Swedish, but YouTube won't allow me to type it. It's her favorite F word. Oh. Maybe we should start saying bassoon.
That's hilarious. Okay.
Nice. Matthew says Mel's Wrangler channel would not be complete without channel updates about the repairs or recalls Melanie has to do at the dealership.
Well, let's hope that won't be a thing.
Let's go. Ian came in with 10 gifted memberships. Let's stink and go. Ian, thank you very much for your support. That is ridiculously amazing. If you guys get a gifted membership, make sure you say a thank you. Consider paying it forward.
Say it.
Yes. Ooh. Thank you, Ian. Peter says, Craig, king under the Mountain Dew. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Elite Neo came in and says, hey, Melanie, keep in mind, you truly haven't broken in a Jeep until you've gone mud riding in it. Once went mud riding with some friends, and there was so much mud on our seats, grass was growing out of them a few days later.
Oh my goodness. That is amazing.
It's
wow.
a green Jeep.
No, pretty fun. Yeah. It's for the environment, which is good.
Eco-friendly.
Yeah, there you go.
Benjamin says, normal men, Gregory, Blabberina, and Miss Macaroni. Notice how Mel's Jeep matches her clothes. Quite fashionable, dare I say. When can we expect Miss Mac and Miss Fist to both be on? Comedy would be legendary. It'd be great to have you on a Tuesday when Razor joins us. Maybe we can make that happen soon. Thanks. Kay came in and says, Bro Chacho, I picked up Quidditch World Cup thanks to you. Thanks for reminding me it existed. Love playing it back in the day.
Yeah, the OG.
And Valkyria came in and says, love my 1:30 a.m. live stream with side scrollers. Always grand to see ya. Even more with Melanie. Sadly, no jiggling from me next time. Hey, thank you, Valkyria. Appreciate that. And Johnny came in with 5 gifted memberships. Let's go, Johnny. Thank you very much. That is great. Absolutely ready. And David, thank you very much for those uncomfortable super chats. And Kratos came in with the $111 and 11 cent direct donation. Says, I'm the big pickle now. Now that Melanie identifies as part of the marginalized Jeep community, she can use the Jeep jerp pronouns. If you want to think of the most offensive song and listen to it in your head, nobody would know nobody would be the wiser. That's right. Thank you, Kratos. Now, Melanie, since we're no longer singing on the show, this started yesterday and it's been chaos.
Okay.
This is a hot sauce wheel.
Oh
And,
my.
For the $100 direct donation, we have made our way through 7 stages of it, of the 16.
Wow.
So now I get to do this. I have a bag of chips, and I just pulled out level 8. This is Caliente Jalapeno. So level 8 here. And so I take a dab on a chip, and then we get going. So we'll see how this goes. I will not chug it. It's a horrible idea.
I'm glad I don't have to do that because I am not good with spicy stuff at all.
Well, neither am I. So therein lies the problem.
That makes it funnier.
So let's go and knock this out for Kratos El Greatos. Now,
All
look,
right, Kratos. Kratos is amazing. At the Rippaverse meetup thing, he brought me chicken skins. That's still carnivore. So that was very nice.
Kratos is top tier. All right, Blabs, let's full screen me real quick, Blabs, so we can get this. All right, here we go. This is level 8, Caliente Jalapeno.
Let's see the bottle.
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
Bet you wish you had milk, bro.
I did. Oh wow! Right on the tip, just on the tip. Wow!
That's what she said.
That's only halfway. All right. This is going to be a tough go for the. Okay.
You good, bro?
Right on the tip of the tongue there. That's this is going to be a tough one from here on. Wow. Holy shit.
You missed it yesterday, Melanie. He had a bit of a lisp towards the end of the stream.
Oh, that's hilarious. I don't see any tears, so far so good.
No tears, but I'll tell you what, it's getting worse. Wow. Holy
well, you
shit.
just chugged water too,
Craig.
so it doesn't help. But you know what's funny? I actually have lemonade, which is what you're supposed to be drinking, or milk, or yogurt. So I'll drink this instead of you, and you can have the water.
That's
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't have milk.
Oh, he doesn't like milk. He's weird.
No milk.
Oh, okay. So yeah, just a Monster Energy drink. Great to chase something spicy with.
Right. Horrible idea. Wow. Caliente Jalapeno is legit. Ooh, okay. Hey, Blaz, why don't you fill us in on today in gaming history?
Okay, so today is July 10th, which means Final Fantasy Chronicles was released 23 years ago, back in 2001. We have the Putt Putt series, so Putt Putt Goes to the Moon, and Putt Putt Pep's birthday, surprise, is 15 years old, released in 2009, and dude, I didn't know this was a thing until yesterday, but Goat of Duty exists.
Wow.
It's 5 years old, releasing back in 2019, and I told Craig this, we're going to actually watch the trailer. Because you have to. It's 1.5 minutes long, and here it is. Let me know when I can play it.
Go ahead. I'm going to start getting get some milk. I remember this.
I never heard of it.
I think it's amazing.
Oh, poor little guy.
I love the premise.
Oh my
God!
Yeah, I want to play this.
What a great premise.
$250, please.
Let's go! Wow.
Whoa, that's incredible.
Can I get this game? I'm gonna get this game.
I like the soundtrack a lot. It was giving me Doom vibes.
Wow, that's
that was
awesome. Yeah, that is great. I remember when that was first announced, vaguely. I'll tell you this. If anybody wants to go play Go to Duty right now, you will find yourself in a game with the other person playing Go to Duty, because right now there are 2 people playing Go to Duty on Steam. Now, the all-time high in early February 2020 was 2,958 people, right?
Probably a streamer was playing it.
That's exactly what happened. Because if you
it's on sale.
for how much is Goat of Duty?
It's on sale for $7.99 instead of $9.99. It's 20% off.
Here it is. Here's the chart. You can tell it like had a peak of like 206, and then somebody played it and was like, "Yep, let's go." 3,000 people, and it's kind of come back to like it's pretty much the developer and his friend playing the game right now.
Do you know what's funny? People I know own this game. Like
Wow.
Ryan Kittle, Mark the Cyborg, Siobhan, Krista, Tugs, and Jay. They all own this game.
They had like a Geeks and Gamers Goat of Duty game night, it looks like.
This is hilarious, this game.
I love it. I love it. Love everything
Released
about
back
it.
in 2019. Wow. I have not heard of this game before.
This is video games. That is what video games are all about right there. Goats.
It's on my wish list.
And war. Love it. All right. We got a lot to talk about, including Andrew coming in with a $50 super chat. Says, welcome back, Melanie. Let's go.
Thank you.
Andrew, greatly appreciate that support. That's spectacular. Wow. Thank you, guys. No one's going on the wall right now. I still got some videos to do, but I am taking down your names and stuff. So we'll make sure we get everybody up on the wall in time. With that said, ladies, it's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for Hard News. All right. Now, Mel, since you've it's been a bit since you've been on. I'm usually about once a month now or so, which is, it's always a pleasure to have you, which is great. We've started this thing where Blabs has started just giving random videos or things that she finds interesting to start Hard News. And today she's found us this. This is from the @History and Memes channel over on X, or the Historic Vids. This is apparently a historical video, Blabs.
Yes.
Okay. It says, I've not seen this. It says there are creative ads and then there are Japanese ads. So let's see what's going on here. Will I be shocked by what I'm about to see, Blabs?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you eating something? What are you doing?
I was drinking, then I coughed on my drink, and so I had to wait.
Okay.
I was choking on lemonade, okay?
All right. Let's see what we got here. What is this an ad for? Do we need to know, or should we just play it?
No. It is best you just go in blind.
Okay.
すいません。大丈夫ですか？
つるっつるの脇。
That's like an armpit or a hair epilator. It sounds like. Oh, that is
Epilation.
funny.
Wow, that's awesome.
So if you don't know
That
what
poor guy.
epilator is, it's like a bunch of tweezers pulling out your hair.
I've
Kinda like
used that
waxing.
before on my legs. It hurt. I
Yeah,
felt like
I
that's
have
it. I
one.
can't do that.
I
My
suffer
house
through.
stick was shaving.
Pretty great. Pretty great. I mean, if you walk up, she says, I'm sorry. And you're like, why is she saying I'm sorry? And
She
There you
burnt
go.
him with her shiny armpit.
Yeah.
pretty brilliant. Pretty brilliant stuff. I don't even know what an epilator is.
It's
But
like a bunch of tweezers. And
Yeah,
it yanks your hair out from the follicle. It's like it's
It
better than
hurt.
waxing.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
it the thing that women do?
Yeah, I do it.
I've tried it. I
tough it out.
I tried it once and I was
worth
like,
it.
no, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, nice. Well, I don't own one. I certainly won't be buying one anytime
Well,
soon.
it's
But yeah, it is
mostly for
great.
women, not men. But yeah.
No
Unless you
shiny
really wanna
armpits
tweeze
for
your hair
Craig.
out.
No, I have a lack of shiny armpits for sure. All right, let's go on to some video game stuff. Which we kind of have an anniversary today. 2000 was it? It was 2008. Blabs is what we got here. 2008.
Yep.
Apple Inc. launched the App Store today, which changed, I don't know, all media, all history. Because the App Store, number one, can we just talk about like the amount of apps that are on the App Store is just obviously insane and it's growing exponentially on top of that. But the thing that nobody wants to talk about is that when you have an app on the App Store, Apple takes 30% of revenue. So to put that in perspective, they have a 30% share of your company when you put an app on the App Store. What a racket. What a racket. And that started, 16 years ago today? Holy moly. That is crazy. How many apps, Melanie, do you think you have on your phone?
Well, I have an Android, so I'm not giving Apple a cent. But I don't know. I have like the main social media stuff, a couple games, video editors. Yeah. That kind
Vlad,
of.
do you have any apps on your phone?
Yeah, I have actually a lot. I'm trying to see if we can see how many I have, but it doesn't really want to tell me. But you know what I really hate though? Whenever you update your phone, they throw in apps unnecessary, like little mobile game apps. Yeah, so I have a Samsung, and every time you update it, they'll throw in some like little mini mobile game app like Candy Crush or whatever. And it's like I didn't accept this. So
I have a
I immediately
Samsung. I haven't noticed that. I need to keep my eye out, make sure they're not sneaking any of these.
They do it every single update almost. So like, especially the really big ones. Yeah. So what you do is like you swipe up and you look at all your apps and you will see stuff that you never installed. And I'm like, out. Yeah.
Right. Well, interesting. Yeah. I mean, hey, the world literally changed with the launch of the App Store, which is, hey, good for them. They're a $1 trillion company now. And like I said, somebody said, yeah, 30% is pretty standard when it comes to a platform. Does anybody else think that's silly? Because
that's a lot. It's ridiculous.
What's that, Vlad?
Yeah, YouTube, 30%.
I know. And that's on the good side of things when you compare it to Twitch that takes 50%. It's insane.
Well, let me say this. YouTube, I actually don't mind. And let me tell you why I don't mind that 30%. Because having operated a website, knowing the cost of streaming and video hosting and things like that, there is a trade-off there. It is extremely expensive to host video online, right? Especially live streaming. So to have that, like that's on the surface, 30% is a lot. But when you really think about it, the cost associated with it, I don't mind it, and the reach associated with it. Is it still high? Yes, right? 30% has been the standard for 10, 12, 13, whatever years since the partner program launched. Do I think it should adjust? Yeah. I mean, like we can do the same thing on locals, and they take like 5%, and then when you look at like Kick, they take 5%. So, I think the market has changed a little bit, and 30% is a little excessive, but that's just, I don't mind paying a revenue share if I'm getting a product outside of like distribution. So, but that's just me. So. All right, we have another announcement here, Mel. This is a big deal. Shrek 5. Did you know Shrek 5 was coming?
Oh no, I'm scared.
What are you scared of?
They're gonna make it terrible.
Well, the first Shreks were pretty good. I think it's been 15, 16 years since the last one. Shrek Ever After, I think, was the fourth one.
Yeah,
but it was Blabs. Are you hiding?
I have no memory of a fourth one. I thought there were only 3.
I'm blowing my nose. I keep sneezing.
Okay.
I don't know why I thought there were only 3 Shreks. It'd be funny if they just skipped the 4th and just said Shrek 5.
Well, so the Shrek, there was Shrek 1, Shrek 2, Shrek the Third, and Shrek Forever After. That's what it was called. So, and the last Shrek Forever After was in 2010. And Shrek 5 is set to be released as a summer blockbuster in the year of our Lord, 2026. And July 1st. So we still got 2 years before Shrek 5. So they're just now starting production on it. But the original players, Mike Myers, Cameron Diaz, and Eddie Murphy, are all back in their roles.
Well, if the same team that made that last Puss in Boots movie, if they're on this, it could be really good because the last Puss in Boots movie was great. I loved it.
Well, yeah, you're right. The Puss in Boots movie was really good. And some people like in the chat are saying, just enough time for modern audiences, right? But I think that we have reached a point during all this nonsense to where the dollar has spoken and companies are seeing the value of this audience has been like, I'm just not going to go see this movie, right? If there's any crap in it. We've seen, recently with Inside Out 2, that movie did gangbusters because guess what? It was just a good movie, right? It didn't have, the Lightyear treatment or any agenda put into it. And it was just like, hey, let's watch a movie with our family. And you know what? It's made $1 billion. So I think people are starting to see that. These companies are starting to see that. And hopefully that's the case with Shrek 5. But Shrek's always been, it's been fairly edgy for kids. There's some adult humor in it and stuff. So, but
you know what's funny though is that Cameron Diaz actually retired like years ago from acting. So you gotta wonder how much they offered her to come back and do this.
Oh,
just a
really?
Fun fact. Yeah, she retired years ago. You can look it up.
What's her net worth?
Good question. I'll find it.
Yeah.
But also, this is good for Universal because Epic launches next year, and the following year, when they have all their kinks out, Shrek is going to be released again.
Oh, there we go. Well, we got the sequel to Shrek coming soon.
140 million.
I'm sorry. What is it?
140 million.
Cameron Diaz is worth $140 million.
Her films have grossed over 3 billion.
Did you say grossed?
Gross. I don't know what happened. Gross.
They have grossed quite a lot.
they have grossed over $3 billion. Quite right.
Oh my God.
Anyway, move on.
Yes, please move on, everybody. Let's please move on. All right. Well, so we have the upcoming sequel to Shrek, and then we have an upcoming remake, which is God damn it. The spaghetti western was something that was extremely popular in the people say the golden age of Hollywood, right? Clint Eastwood, 1960s. The idea of the Italian creating these western movies, the wah wah wah, right? And apparently, according to Deadline, A Fistful of Dollars, one of the greatest westerns of all time, is getting a remake from Hollywood and Italian industry vets. You can see like Gary's response, just no. And
here's the thing is I'm all about more westerns because I think they're very underrated and we don't see enough, but I don't think that they can. I think they need to try to do something new instead of just taking an actual classic and trying to remake that, because we've already seen when people try to remake classics, usually doesn't turn out well.
Well, you're right. You're 100% right. And here's the thing: you set a bar when you say we're going to remake a movie, right? When you say, "Hey, we're gonna remake a classic." This is one of the all-time great movies in Hollywood and film history. Right. It is. It's been memed. It's got these classic scenes, a classic soundtrack, and more or less, these movies made stars. Clint Eastwood. I mean, it's Clint Eastwood, and A Fistful of Dollars may be his most prominent role ever. Who
are they gonna find that can be as good as Clint Eastwood? That's gonna be tough.
I was gonna say.
Scott.
Scott.
Is
he's
he
pretty?
Oh,
have you not seen this man?
I don't think I have.
Oh, Melanie, do yourself.
Well, he's no Jake Gyllenhaal.
Listen, he's better than Jake. I'm sorry.
Still stuck on Jake Gyllenhaal's
wallpaper.
Wow, that must have left a big impact on you. Okay, let's see. Scott Eastwood.
Here he is, right here.
Look,
Scott
Melanie, look.
He is beautiful. Oh my goodness.
And
even Craig's like wood.
Well, he does have his dad's look to him.
He does.
So I could potentially see Scott Eastwood in this role.
That would be now. I would like that to see his son take the helm with that. That could be cool. That'd be better than just some rando that they throw in there.
I agree.
He's so pretty.
He's so pretty. But I'll say this. I think that when you say we're going to remake A Fistful of Dollars, I think it'd be better if you said we're going to make a new movie in the spirit of Fistful of Dollars instead of remaking it.
Yeah.
More people would gravitate. They'd be like, hey, we're inspired by this instead of we're going to remake this. And I think that set themselves up for success as opposed to failure. But that's just me.
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
well, either way, I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see if the pushback is real on this for sure. If people actually want to see it, and even if they don't, who knows, right? Speaking of the insanity of Hollywood, let's go to Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner.
What?
Have you seen their daughter, Melanie?
No. Wait, is it? Don't tell me they have a transgender.
Well, they
thing
do.
going
They
on
actually do. They have a non-binary, but that's not the one we're talking about today.
there. Wow. Okay.
So this is their 18-year-old daughter, right? And I think this says everything you need to know, right?
Oh, dear.
Here's the thing about this, right? You have an 18-year-old. Let's go back 4 years. What was happening 4 years ago? We all know, right? Right? And in that time, 14 is a very formative time for a lot of people, specifically young girls, right? These are, I mean, you guys can speak better to this than I can, but I have 2 daughters and I know what they're going through, right? What was it like to be, I'll ask you girls, what was it like to be a 14-year-old girl?
It was fun. I grew up very sheltered, homeschooled though. So fortunately I didn't get indoctrinated by the craziness. But yeah, when I was 14, I was playing video games with my brothers or hanging out with my other homeschool friends, jumping on trampolines, we're still doing stuff like playing tag and stuff.
Yeah, my biggest worries was, what was my grade? Did I get an A or not? And trying to compete against other students in music. That was it. I didn't have a problem with any of this shit.
But it was a very formative. I mean, I know through my teenage years were obviously very formative for me, right? They helped make me who I am, right? And through experiences and things like this. Okay, so we're staring at an 18-year-old girl who 4 years ago, when she was 14, masks were introduced, right? And here's a mask, you need to wear it because of the death that's upon you, right? And this resonated with her so much that now in the year 2024, she still has an N95 mask on, and it's point easily influenced, right? And here, this is what she demanded from the LA City Council yesterday. Once again, we're talking about this because this is Hollywood elite's daughter right here, Jennifer. Who is it? It's
Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck.
Yes,
and
Affleck
it's important
and
to note that, like, even in that little thing, it says it right there above the text that the other child is non-binary, shaved her head, and is now called Finn.
Okay, well, that's good.
It's so weird the way she's dressed and stuff. She looks like a Mennonite, like Amish adjacent.
I was thinking that too. It's very conservative dress.
Right. All right. Well, let's see what she has to say.
Okay.
I contracted a post-viral condition in 2019. I'm okay now, but I saw firsthand that medicine does not always have answers to the consequences of even minor viruses. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown that into sharper relief. 1 in 10 infections leads to long COVID, which is a devastating neurological cardiovascular illness that can take away people's ability to work, move, see, and even think, stands to exacerbate our homelessness crisis, as well as the suffering of many people in our city. It hits communities of color, disabled people, elderly people, trans people, women, and anyone in a...
Literally every buzzword. Literally every single buzzword right there in the span of like 3 seconds. Let's continue.
Public-facing essential job the hardest. To confront the long COVID crisis, I demand mask availability, air filtration, and far UVC light in government facilities, including jails and detention centers, and mask mandates in county medical facilities. We must expand the availability of high-quality free tests and treatment, and most importantly, the county must oppose mask bans for any reason. They do not keep us safer. They make vulnerable members of our community less safe and make everyone less able to participate in Los Angeles together. Thank you.
Didn't Fauci already admit that the mask didn't work? Like, why is this still
and the
a
6
thing?
feet thing was just made up on the spot, had no medical reasoning. So she's only looking at, well, whatever she wants to say.
She's in her bubble, her rich
Goodness.
person bubble, right?
She's probably terrified of climate change too. That's the thing is from this very weird far left woke side of things, they want people to be in fear constantly with the coup they did, with climate change and all of that. I just saw on X the other day where somebody screenshotted like a Reddit post that this grown man with a wife and kid is on there saying, I don't know if I can bear everything going on. Life seems so hopeless with climate change, and I think I'm gonna unalive myself. It's like, bro, you're a whole husband and dad. You got a family to take care of, and you're so overwhelmed and living in so much fear about climate change that you just don't even want to be alive anymore. What the crap?
Nah, my favorite is one of the ex-Harry Potter actresses doing this whole climate change fundraiser and everything, and she is partnering with a drag queen who is environmentally friendly drag queen and promotes like green. I'm like, but that's a dude pretending to be a woman. If you go to this person's profile, it's like she, her, he, him, they, them, all of it. I'm like, huh? Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Climate change with drag queens, brother.
It all makes sense. It all makes sense, right? Or make it make sense. One of the two.
Chat says drag green. That's funny.
Drag green? That's hilarious.
All right, let's move on to another movie in the video game space. The Borderlands movie has apparently been seen by some folks, early cuts of it, and the response has been less than stellar, as it's been called terrible and unfunny. So the upcoming Borderlands film, not looking very good off the bat.
So it's more accurate to the source material than we anticipated.
That's been like kind of the running gag.
That's how I kind of felt with Borderlands.
actually-
See, I actually did like the first and second one, and I thought they were funny. But the third one, it was the most unfunny, stupid. I couldn't even finish it. I was like, I'm over it. So.
Well, last time you were on, Melanie, we were talking about the casting of Cate Blanchett, and so everyone was saying that she was, now I know nothing about Borderlands, so I can't speak on this. But I did read an interview from her last week about Borderlands, and the reason she got the role was because she was kind of like bored during COVID, and she was afraid of not having roles anymore, so she just went and got it, basically.
Wow. And I love Cate Blanchett, but my goodness, this is not her role.
She's a great actress, but she doesn't really look good in that outfit anyway. Like,
it's not flattering on her at all. It's not working, and it's just like Lilith is supposed to be a lot younger. It doesn't work.
Well, we'll see how. Look. Anytime you make a video game movie, I think most people who play those games are going to look in with a very skeptical eye, and it's really got to be great for you to kind of go over that mark. I mean, obviously, we've seen some success, we've seen some failures. Obviously, the Mario movie, I think, was critically hailed for being fun, and it's just like a fun Mario movie, right? But obviously, the original Mario movie in 1993 was not.
Right.
So we've seen both ends of the spectrum, but I think it's natural for people to kind of look at this just based off the track record of video game movies to be skeptical going in. So you're already moving up a hurdle, moving up the hill, and there's several hurdles in your way. All right. Speaking of hurdles, let's move on to this other story here. Now, this is a full-time streamer named Impact. He is he's 28 years old. He is a competitive gamer dad, and he streams on Kick. Now I want to play about the first half of this video that he put out this morning. And this has to tie into Nick Merckx. We know what Nick Merckx has said as far as protecting all kids. Gone out and people went crazy over that idea. We got to cancel him. And he was banned on Twitch. Nick Merckx was for using a word which has been now apparently on the same level as the N-word, apparently. And anyway, so this guy came out. He's a streamer, and he lost a sponsorship deal because he simply tweeted out that he agreed with Nick Merckx as far as
wow.
So let's take a look at this video here, Mel, and see what you got to say. As somebody who has lost sponsorship deals, I'd love to hear your
I know what that's like.
Right.
So I did want to make this video earlier, but this one's been keeping me occupied over the past couple of weeks. But I wanted to set the record straight. I just lost the biggest brand deal I've ever had because I supported Nick Merckx here on Twitter. I can't lie, this came as a surprise because we've had so many successful campaigns over the years, including the recent one where they just sent me to Japan, unless they terminated my contract effective immediately because of a tweet where I said, I never took off the Nick Merckx skin since they removed it. He's one of the only people in gaming to keep it real. And if you guys aren't aware of the context, they've been trying to cancel Nick Merckx for quite some time now for telling them to leave the kids alone. And I cannot stand cancel culture. So let me just make this clear. This is not a video to boycott the brand or to send hate towards anyone that I worked with there. It was in their own words that the higher-ups forced them to remove my ambassador agreement. And frankly, they're more than entitled to do so. If I'm considered a brand risk for sharing views with Nick Merckx, so be it. As a father, I stand on my principles and I'll fully support Nick's message. Ironically, I'm also an owner of a brand called Total Tough.
So he goes on to talk about this brand that he has, which it's all about getting kids up and physical and moving and stuff. And it seems like a pretty good product. So anyways, but
wow.
So he's used this as an opportunity to kind of let people know about his product. But Melanie, what are your thoughts on that?
I didn't realize Logitech was that gay. I shouldn't be surprised though. But my goodness, that is just insane right now. But we need more streamers and all of that in the gaming space to take a stand right now, because these companies are going to have to adapt. Right now, they're all pushing this woke narrative, and all these streamers are so scared to speak out against a lot of stuff because they don't want to lose their sponsorships. But at the end of the day, it is more important to stand on principle. I've lost sponsorships over all of this mess, and it's so worth it. It's so worth it to be able to just be authentic and to not have to feel like you have to be censored all the time. And eventually, and really the social climate and what people are realizing, if you go out in the real world, most people you're going to run into, unless you're in San Francisco or something, they're over it with all of this transgender ideology, with all of these men pretending to be women and wanting to hijack female spaces, and all of the perversion that's going on with that whole space and a lot of the alphabet mafia in general. And so I think your average person is sick of it, and we need to reflect and we need to be able to represent the normal people who are not who are over it with this craziness right now. So it's time that these companies are going to have to adapt. Yeah.
You're muted, Craig. But I just want my 2 cents. I think it's hilarious because Nick Merckx years ago was pro BLM. He canceled his affiliation with the National Guard. So is Logitech now saying they are against BLM because that was his stance back in the day? Is Logitech now saying they are against? Are they pro National Guard now? Back in the day,
well, that just shows that this is why you don't pander to the woke people, because it's like you can agree with them on so many things, but if they see that somebody disagrees on one thing, then it's done for you. So all of that movement and they try to make themselves sound like, oh, we just care about people. We just care about minorities and this, that, and the other. And then you find it's about control. It's about, and things are constantly changing with their narratives. And it's just, I truly believe it's demonically rooted, and I'm not about it. And a lot of people are waking up to it. But the fact that they are so quick to throw their own people under the bus and to turn on their own people just really shows how vicious these people are.
Yeah, people are their own individuals. So, if you're going to have a sponsorship, no, they're not always going to be a little robot and agree with everything you say. And also, Nick Merckx went crawling back to Call of Duty, what? Not even a year later after he said all that. So it's what's your stance then?
I know.
Make no sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on. Hey, a lot of you guys tuning in right now. We're going to be bringing Nick Calandra on in just a little bit. He has agreed to come on the show. For those of you just joining us, he is very critical of the Real Game Awards, and so we're going to be bringing him on. And we'll talk to him about that. So I'm all about reaching across the island and open up the platform. So we'll hopefully have him on here in just a little bit. But before we do, I wanted to tee this up for you there, Melanie, because the biggest YouTuber in the world with 300 million subscribers, as he just crossed this in the last day or so, Mr. Beast has gone on record saying that he would like to run for president if they lowered the age so he could run. He has since gone on and he tweeted this out, furthering this, saying, "If I were president, I couldn't care. I wouldn't care about party lines. I just always truly make the American people my number one priority. For problems I'm ignorant in, I'd have experts from the left and right advise me and try to find the middle ground that's best for America. Wouldn't be viable. Don't care about doing things just because my party says I should. And I would focus on uniting the country instead of dividing it. Anyways, we can pick up this in 15 years when I'm old enough to run." So.
I think it's cringe. I don't want to see some young influencer talking about being president like this. That's the thing. And this whole kumbaya, let's let everybody get along. It doesn't work like that. This is one of the reasons why I think that society has a ton of problems, is that people try so hard to think that there is just truth is subjective. We can all align on this, that, or the other. But the fact is there's truth and there's anything else that's not, that is not truth. And so whenever you're dealing with things like that, some people are going to be offended. Some people are going to be upset when it's not their favorite thing or what they believe in. That's not the true thing. But I care more about truth than I care about, let's just make everybody get along.
I think what he's saying is very idealistic. The idea that, I'm going to make, both parties work together. It's like,
it doesn't work like that. And yeah.
Here's the giant hole in his argument, right? Because he says, it wouldn't be viable. Don't care about doing things just because my party says I should. Okay, here's the question. What party are you with? Because
exactly,
that's going to divide your audience immediately. And if you say, look, if he comes out and says, I'm a liberal, right? Then the right's going to go like, okay, right? Mm-hmm. And then if anybody comes out and says, I'm conservative, then the left's going to come out and be like, hey, fuck you.
Right.
I'm never going to watch your shit ever. But I do think that he does need to get his house in order first at his on his platform.
I swear, with that whole transgender situation nightmare going on, that's another thing, is when here's a guy who tore apart his family so that he could LARP as a woman and pretend to be a woman, and Mr. Beast has been supporting this guy. Any person who cares about family values and other people in general I don't care if it's your best friend who did that. Like, if my best friend did that, I would be like, bro, what's the matter with you? You're splitting up your whole family so that you can live out your delusions. This is messed up. You got to be able to call out your friends when they're doing something wrong. And obviously, this is a blatant example of that. So for him to still be supporting this dude after doing all that, that's just crazy. But also, a lot of what he's saying reads to me like a kid that's just like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be an astronaut and I'm going to have a Dodge Viper and I'm going to have a mansion and this and that. It's just like, okay, well, it's all dreams. Obviously, in his case, he's got money, so the monetary things he can handle for himself, but it's just, if I become president, I'm going to make sure everybody gets along and there's not going to be any more divide between parties because we're going to find a common middle ground and everybody can be right in their own way. It's it's just fairy tales. It's all delusion. Life doesn't work like that. There's right and there's wrong. Period. And people are gonna be mad regardless. So you can't find this kumbaya middle ground that everybody gets along. It's not gonna happen.
We can try, but I think it's a very idealistic approach for Mr. Beast. And who knows, maybe him and his 300 million subscribers will be able to pull it off in about 15 years or so. And we're saying President Jimmy, and he'll be the youngest. Because here's the reality, right?
Yeah.
They talk about like The Rock running for president and you know, the celebrity president. You know, the influence associated with this. I think there's a YouTuber who is in the equivalent of like the Senate overseas, over in the UK, their version of that over there in Parliament or whatever. So there will be a day where some YouTuber uses their leverage to become sort of, you know, some, you know, United States service person.
I just can't help but wonder if he's a plant, because that's the thing is he just comes out of nowhere, it seemingly, and blows up, has all of this fame, all of this money, and he's so young, and it's just like, where did this kid even come from to be doing all this? And with the name Mr. Beast, I mean, as a Christian, and if you read Revelation, you know, like the mark of the beast, all that stuff. So the name already isn't sitting well with me. But I just can't help but wonder now with him talking about, oh, I want to try to be president in 15 years. It's like, okay, is he a plant from the government, the powers that be, whatever? And they're setting this up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've suspected he's a puppet in general.
I think he's a pretty smart kid. That's what I think. I think that he's done a good job of putting a spotlight on himself through some really smart content. And then YouTube saw that and saw an opportunity to prop him up. And they've done a very good job of propping him up. That's what I think. You know, I understand the skepticism when somebody, you know, their trajectory is so fast and so quick. But he has been doing this since he's been like 12 years old, you know, and, you know, but I guess I will say this. I know people who have worked with him directly on a very personal basis, and he has his hands in a lot of things that are not public, which I think a lot of his audience probably wouldn't agree with. But that's, you know, that's just me talking with people who work with him on a day-to-day basis, because they don't necessarily agree with some of the things that he is with, whether it's, you know, left or right or whatever it is. So there we go. All right, let's move on, because we got a guest joining us here in just a second. And a lot of this spurs from the announcement that I made yesterday about Take Games Back morphing into the Real Game Awards. Once again, it's an award show. It's meant to be an alternative to the corporate traditional access media game awards run by Jeff Keighley. And so far, the response has been really strong. People have really enjoyed it. Obviously, anytime you launch anything or launch any sort of alternative, you're going to hear people, you know, oh, you're a grifter, you're whatever. And the reality is that nobody's making any money on this at all, right? The idea here is that we're just trying to do something. This is more or less an opportunity to give back to gaming, an industry that I've been in for 18 years, and I've seen the shift of things over the last several years. And we're doing this because we want to do it, and we think that there should be an alternative. And people say, hey, if you don't like it, do something different. So guess what? We're doing something different. And as soon as we do something different, you're the worst. So there's been obviously a lot of criticism around it, but I do think it's important to give you guys who didn't watch yesterday background on what exactly we're talking about. So I want to run this video. It's about 2 minutes long or so. So hey, stand by, and then we'll get to some of the criticism here, and then we'll get to our guest. So this is the announcement that we made yesterday about the Real Game Awards. A few months ago when I announced Take Games Back, I, like many of you, had pretty much just reached a tipping point. I was and am just sick and tired of seeing gamers just disrespected by journalists and even people within the video game industry. It is amazing to see an industry that has just such disregard for its customers. Take Games Back was and is a call to action, because something has to be done. And since I made that first announcement, journalists, consultants, and industry activists have almost like doubled down. We've seen journalists dox people, literally call people's wives, and even challenge people to physical fights. I mean, what a joke. As I said before, it's one big club and you're not even invited to it. And the worst part about it is that these people have the gall to think that they get to decide the best games of the year at some overly corporatized, super sterile award show that plays it safe. Not anymore. Starting today, Take Games Back is officially called the Real Game Awards. I've always thought the phrase for gamers, by gamers is extremely cliche, but I gotta be honest, that's exactly what the Real Game Awards is. You decide what you like best, not some activist blogger out of San Francisco or New York. We're gonna remove all that bullshit product placement and all that celebrity nonsense that's thrown in there. Get right to the core of it. It's about games. If you're tired of all the nonsense in the video game industry and want to help reclaim the voice for actual gamers, become a voting member of the Real Game Awards. And hell yes, we're gonna gatekeep, which is why it costs $30 a year to become a voting member. If you become a member today, guess what? We're actually taking suggestions for categories right now. Yes, you will decide the categories voted on in this year's award show. In 2024, we want to do a digital event because our goal is simple. We want to save as much money as we can for 2025 where we can hold a physical event. I don't care if we do it at a Buffalo Wild Wings. The point is, we gotta take action. With that said, it's time for you to take action and help reclaim the voice for gamers in this industry and hobby that we all love. Go to therealgameawards.com and become a voting member and start suggesting categories literally right now. All right, so that's what we announced yesterday, and so far the response has been really strong. People have really enjoyed it. As I said, people have really gotten behind the idea, and people feel like there needs to be an alternative. And as I said before, I think that having an alternative is always a good thing, because right now there's one industry event, and there's not really, there are several like smaller web specific. If you own a website or something, you do your own award show, but I'm thinking of something that's bigger. So with that said, you announce something and naturally there's going to be some criticism, and we have, I like to pull up these tweets just to make sure that we got them, but you know what? We'll pull in Nick Calandra to join us. Nick, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Welcome back. It's been a few months since you've been on the show. How have you been?
Not too bad. Trying to, if I twitch a little bit, my neck is completely kinked up, so I may be a little bit not giving you guys the looks.
That's okay.
In pain.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, man, because most people wouldn't, and I think it's big of you to do that. We've talked about coming on the show many, just even this weekend, we talked about getting you on the show with Smash, because you and Smash been going back and forth. And I think it's important that we actually show people that you can actually have a conversation. So I appreciate you coming on to have a conversation. So you have been, you're very critical of this idea of the Real Game Awards. Tell me why.
I'm not exactly critical of the Real Game Awards. I mean, I've been critical of Keeley's Game Awards for the exact same reasons why you're doing this. I think it's too showy, it's too corporate, and all that. I think my biggest criticism of what you're doing here is, if you want it to be taken seriously and legitimized amongst the wider audience,
which we don't.
Why don't you?
Because I think that's exactly, we have no interest in being taken seriously by journalists or
that's not
any member of the access media.
Sure. That's not exactly what I mean. I mean more just in bringing in a wider audience of people that would actually want to watch it.
So here's my thing. I think that the wider audience, the regular person, the normal man who watches our show, I think there's a lot more of them than there are of the niche bubble activist who works inside the industry. And that's who our audience is. Our audience is the people who grew up playing games, saw a dramatic shift in the last few years, and are saying, what the hell's happening? What just happened to video games? Why these games that we loved, why does everything need to have some sort of social agenda? attached to it, when that's never been a thing ever in entertainment. And up until the last few years, it's been. So a lot of people in our audience in particular have their head spinning. And they're looking for an alternative, right? They don't like the idea of, as you said, a corporate or sanitized version of an award show that is built around industry input, that you have to pay $250,000 to have your trailer played at, right? I get the idea of advertising, but I would much rather have a show that is funded by our audience, so we don't have to have corporate sponsorship. So instead of it being as so eloquently put by Mark the Cyborg, it's either going to be a member funded event or it's a marketing event, and this is not a marketing event. This is meant to be an event that is built for people who like playing games and like talking about games, and not necessarily a dog and pony show for members of an elite list or a journalist list.
Do you consider me a member of that elite list?
Do you vote on any of those shows?
Nope, I've never been invited.
Okay. Then no, I guess not. I mean, I know that you have your Patreon and you were with Escapist for a long time and such. And, you know, that's why I said anybody can truly vote on this. Literally anybody, right?
Sure.
But, you know, as far as, you know, we have some specific rules when it comes to our board of directors, which I know you're not a big fan of our board of directors. It is what it is. You're going to like people, you're going to not like people. But those rules are, you know, pretty simple, right? And when it comes to all this, you know, we'd want to make this as straightforward as it possibly can, as we possibly can.
For that board, have you reached out to other people that
absolutely
disagree with you?
100%, absolutely, yes. And to be clear, you know, when it comes to the board, our rules are they're not allowed to vote. They can't be on any press list or AAA developer, receive any sort of perks, and you can't work for traditional gaming access media, right? I think that's pretty basic rules. When you're trying to do a show that's for gamers by gamers, I think having those rules associated with it are there. Question for you: are you on any press lists or receive any perks from AAA gamers or AAA publishers?
What do you consider perks? Review codes?
Review codes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So you wouldn't be eligible for a board, right?
Sure.
So let me ask you this: as a member, so yeah, you would be considered Access Media because you as a member of Access Media, do you ever feel that as a member of Access Media that you can't say things because if you did say those things, you may potentially lose said access?
I mean, yeah, the story about how we don't work with Sony anymore is far and wide. You know, basically they tried to compare Yahtzee to Cinema Sins, and they didn't blacklist us or anything. We could have kept requesting codes, but I wasn't gonna grovel to get review codes. We can just go buy them. You know, the only reason we need review codes is so that we can get videos out on time, and even then we don't follow strict embargo schedules anyways. So
then what's the point? If you don't follow embargo schedules, what's the point? What's it matter?
There's so many games.
Wouldn't it be better? Sorry, Nick. Wouldn't it be better if you just spent $60 on the game instead of?
I mean, we often do.
Right. So and then provide that at your leisure, because at the end of the day, specifically in today's climate, wouldn't it be better if you just created a great review based off of personalities?
If we were a single personality channel, sure, but we're not. We're got 13 full-time people. We cover a lot of different games. If we don't get review copies 2 weeks in advance, like we're way behind on just staying up to date with things. So we definitely could do it without review copies. But it just makes our jobs easier to stay up to date with the games that are coming out so that we're not behind all the time.
But behind to what? That's the bigger question. Like, behind to what?
Well, I mean, you've seen our channel. Look at all the indie games we cover every week. I mean, we cover more indie games than any other outlet out there. There's no way to keep up with that if we don't get those copies in advance time and have time to prepare that coverage.
Once again, you're setting an arbitrary deadline that means nothing to anybody, right? And if people trust the reviewer, they'll wait for that review. And that's on you for setting that arbitrary deadline. Though it's not like they say, get this review out by a certain date, otherwise we're not going to give you another code in the future, right? What you're looking to capitalize on is search engine optimization and people searching for that review at that time, right?
No, not exactly. I mean, we're completely crowdfunded. We don't really do the search engine game anymore. We're not running a website.
Then once again, what does it matter?
Well, what does it matter that we get review copies in the first place? You view them as a gift. Right. I just view them as a work material.
Right. Well, they're given to you right? And with expectations and strings attached to it. Nick, I've been there. I've played the game before, man.
What expectations or strings are attached to a review code?
The expectation being that you have to not necessarily speak nice about it, but there are certain things there. There are bullet points that are on a press release that says you can talk about this, you can't talk about this. I've received these press releases, these embargo rules. You can't talk about it up to this certain time, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I've been there when it comes to going to live events. I mean, I've been to all these things for years.
So have I. If there's one, if we don't feel comfortable with a review copy or embargo that's set on it, we don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just everybody has to make those decisions on their own.
Let's go back to this though. Sure. Your criticism of the Real Game Awards. So continue. Like, what's the issue here with this and with you say the channels that proclaim for gamers don't even talk about games. Have you watched our show at all today? Have you?
I've seen your shows.
Right, and I would say we talk about games. We talk about entertainment. Now, are we breaking down pixels? Are we breaking down difficulty? No, we're talking about the larger cultural impact of games, and that also is a part of games.
Sure, I don't disagree with that. I don't like the messaging of how you're doing the Real Game Awards. I think if you want to do this thing and you want to compete and show it's better, like, why not invite everybody in? And I'm not saying onto the board. I'm not saying into this. Like, you open up your marketing with, we're going to gatekeep people out of it. We're going to do all this. I just don't get it. I don't get why.
You're gonna run into the same thing though that we're already seeing with the mainstream awards. If you start allowing everybody in and people who do have access, I mean, the main concern here is that, okay, is there some sort of bias involved with the panel? People want to see the actual gamers' voices being heard. So if you do just allow everybody, then you're going to run into the exact same thing and just different name.
Yeah, I guess. I just don't see the reason to make it an antagonistic angle. If you want to run an award show, run an award show, right? Like, Melanie specifically, like, I defended you 4 years ago when you were getting attacked online. Like, I've always been against dogpiling and all these narratives that have come out about me, about being in the access media and all this bullshit. Like, the same people that are friendly with me now hated me 5 years ago because I took over the Escapists. So I'm not new to any of this bullshit.
Right, right.
Like, it's all a game to people on Twitter, and that's fine. It is what it is. But like,
I think it's just a tough situation right now for a lot of gamers, because for all those of us who are, getting really tired of all of the activism that's being inserted into games, or for the fact that a lot of these, especially mainstream AAA games, are focusing more on reaching as many people as possible, therefore watering down the gaming experience for actual gamers. When we speak out against this stuff, we're being called bigots, we're being called haters, we're having people like Alyssa say, "Fight me in real life." So yeah, it's
you don't see that as antagonistic?
Yeah.
Oh no, I absolutely do. I wish it would all stop. Like,
what have you done to check her on Twitter? Have you done anything to call her out and let her know how unnecessary that is? I mean, because once again, I mean, even with this, I mean, she's poking the bear again. The moment a straight white male feels the world isn't about him for a few minutes, he starts braying about taking back a space, the feebleness of a mind like that, the crippling insecurity that eats away at you. Fascinating. That means their entire world is homogenistic, or their friends, the space they inhabit, their work lives. What a sad, gray, miserable life this must be.
And that's crazy, because even with what you're saying with this, you've not mentioned race or anything like that. We care about the gamers, and that's the thing, is gamers do come from a variety of backgrounds and different races, this, that, and the other. So for her to automatically be antagonistic on the, straight white male, this, that, and the other, that's all on her. And this is what we're met with constantly when we say something. It's like, oh, well, you're a bigot. Oh, it's because you're white. Oh, it's because you're straight. And we're sick of it. And also, when we were more, I think people are just a little more on edge and gatekeeping a bit more, because it's like, look what happened to the gaming industry in general. Look what happened with mainstream video games in general right now. And that's because a lot of us were just, oh yeah, let's let everybody in. This is great. And then activists have taken over, and that's reflected in video games. We're seeing remakes, remasters, this, that, and the other of some of our favorite things that are being censored and that are changing our favorite characters beyond recognition. So they're pushing us out. And so there's a level of boldness that we still have to have, and not for the sake of wanting to fight people, especially not in real life. But as, okay, we're sick of this. We're sick of being pushed out of our own hobby that we've been supporting for so long.
I mean, I'm not gonna do the whole defend Alyssa, defend this, defend that. Like, I've been on both sides of the aisle. Like, I've specifically criticized Kotaku heavily in the past because I didn't like all their bait against developers. Like, I've been there. I've been hated by pretty much everybody. It's fine. It's what it is. I fully disagree. I fully disagree that it's activists causing this stuff, and I know that's going to raise eyebrows in your chat, but I think it's
who is.
I think it's completely the corporations running this stuff, and there may be activists running at the top of those corporations, but I mean, you're getting remakes and remasters because people just keep recycling the same brands over and over and over again.
Right, but they're being ruined. They're not being faithfully.
But in the corporate eyes, they're reaching the largest target audience, right? And if you feel on the outside of that, and you feel that woke or whatever you're going to call it is that center of attention right now, that's what the corporations are going to target.
But what we're seeing and what you see in real world is this woke audience isn't the largest audience. They're actually a very small audience that are just very vocal.
Do you think the very vocal audience on your guys' end is the same thing? Because people keep calling me woke. I've always maintained I'm moderate.
What is the other end? We're not trying to insert any messages. We just want video games to be fun and to be video games again like they used to be.
But I think most people want that. I think like people were raging about Suicide Squad. I think pretty much everybody agreed that it was poorly written and it wasn't very fun. There was no mission design in that game. People keep point, but I don't think that has anything to do with.
Most people do want that. I agree with that, and that's why they need to stop pandering to this woke audience, because the woke audience isn't the majority of people.
But that game failed because of the mission design, though. That there's just nothing to do in that.
Well, it did look like a trash game in general, but the woke elements definitely didn't help it.
And Nick, here's the difference, right? You have one side that talks a big game but doesn't talk with their money, and then you have another side that talks a big game but actually reacts with their money, right, or lack thereof. And that's the biggest thing here. And as pointed out by DD Cobra, who is once again a member of the board, something made for everyone is something made for nobody, right? And there's a lot of truth in that. Right?
That's an Arrowhead Studios quote for Helldivers too. And look at all the shit they've gotten just because somebody put pride flags in their community bio.
Right. So let me ask you this, Nick: who is this modern audience that everybody's catering to? Like, because I've asked that question a million times, and I don't know who that modern audience is. And for the record, you describe yourself as a moderate. I also describe myself as a moderate, right? So, but let's get back to that. Who is this modern audience?
Who knows at this point? Like,
nobody knows. That's the point.
Well, but that's what I mean. Like, people keep trying to put it into a box of what the modern audience is. Is it woke? Is it not woke? Whatever. I have never given a shit about those discussions. I took over The Escapist, the site that was known for Gamergate. I had to rebuild the brand. Everybody on one side hated me just for taking that brand over. And then when all this stuff started with Second Wind and I stood up to the corporation, didn't take my severance, walked away from everything, and when we went and started Second Wind, then all of a sudden everybody respected me for it. Great. Like, I'm not part of this circle that everybody wants me to be a part of. Everybody keeps trying to put people in boxes and labels and all this bullshit. I don't play that game. I don't use gamers as a derogatory term. That's our audience. Why would I do that? I don't use woke. I try not to use alt-right, all that bullshit. Maybe I have in the past. Right now, it's been very much one-sided against me. We'll put it that way. My mentions have been filled with really hateful people for weeks now, including people sending me gore into my DMs. So I'm not gonna play nice with certain people that have been targeting a lot of people in the industry that are doing good things. But this entire modern audience thing, like, I've always viewed it, if you cover games, you make good material about games, you stay out of the culture war stuff on Twitter, which of course I'm involved in right now, and I really fucking don't want to be, then your audience shows up. They're there to make they're there to do cool things. They're there to talk about cool things. They're there to be critical thinkers. But everybody keeps wanting to get involved in this culture war stuff, and it's got to be one side versus the other side.
Nick,
I just like games.
Nick, you're right. I long for the day where this show doesn't exist because all this shit doesn't matter. But the reality is that video games are a major cultural, they have a major cultural thumb on literally everybody in the world, right? We all know the data, right? When it comes to video games generating more revenue than movies and TV combined, right? There's more people playing video games than ever before. So when this stuff is injected into the video games, and it's a reoccurring thing. Look, you guys cover video games from the beeps and boops perspective, right? The review scores, how does it play? We cover video games from the cultural impact of those games. So that's the difference about what we do.
We cover them culturally too. I mean, Cold Take is talking about the corporate and cultural side of it all the time. I think the problem is, like, maybe you're going to disagree with me. I think you are very heavily focused on the Twitter and the Reddit discussions and not the wider breadth of games that exist. There's hundreds of indie games released every week. There's all kinds of cool games every week. That's why we do bite size to cover all these different games. And there's games in there with political messages. There's games in there that are just games with no message at all. Like, I think people are so narrowly focused on these cultural impact points that Twitter or whoever else brings up, whether it's Stellar Blade, whether it's Suicide Squad that killed the Justice League, whatever the fuck it is. People are so hyper-focused on these things, they're missing the breadth of games that are out there, which is what concerns me about the way you're doing the awards and the board that you have and all that, is you guys are very focused on those cultural impact points.
Well, it's so much more than just that, though. It's because we're getting our favorite things changed and ruined. And a lot of what we're saying and what we're against is speaking out against these things being changed and ruined. Tomb Raider, apart from the remasters recently, but mainstream Tomb Raider is not even recognizable anymore as a Tomb Raider game. Lara Croft is not recognizable in looks, personality, or anything. And this has been a pattern with multiple different properties. So it's not just like, oh, okay, I want to argue with this person on X because they're politics or whatever. It's that, hey, why are they changing the things that we love? Why is mainstream gaming why can't the female characters be pretty anymore? Why can't why are our favorite characters being changed? Why is gameplay being watered down? Why aren't we getting actual video games that are trying to be video games instead of these extremely over budget cinematic experiences? What happened?
Well, that's what I mean. I don't think you're playing enough games if that's what you really think.
Well, because there are indie games out there. Well, what about some of our favorite mainstream properties? Are we not allowed to care about those anymore?
No, I'm not saying that either. Halo is one of my favorite properties. It's been taken to the ground and shot multiple times. But right. I think, I think that's what happens with franchises that run for 20, 30 years. You get new people working on them. They come in with new perspectives. Things change. But
that shouldn't be happening, and that's our problem. And we're speaking out against that because, hey, if they're going to continue a loved franchise, then they need to be hiring people who care about it and who want to continue it and make it great. Otherwise, make something new. I really don't give a crap that much about these brand new games that are stupid, that have this, that, or ideology I don't like. I'm not playing those games. Like, do I think that they are trying to indoctrinate people with certain things? Yes. But my focus with talking about gaming and stuff, for the majority of it, is seeing how they've watered it down and how they've ruined it and how they've changed what we've already loved.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with most of that. I disagree with the political side of it, I guess. But
most of us don't even want politics in games. I don't care. It's not a matter of, I don't like this because it has the politics I don't want. I don't want it to have the politics that I do have in it either. I just want video games to be an escape. We see this stuff every day, constantly. Can I play video games that escape all the political stuff?
Well, I think that's more of an issue with writing and pandering than it is
Okay, then
politics.
Once again, going back to this award show, right? That we're doing, right?
Sure.
You said you need to make this available to everybody. Everybody is welcome to be a part of this, right? It's up to them whether they want to or not, right? But it's important that you have some skin in the game, so you're invested in this, right? That's the idea. People have been like really critical of like, hey, why do you have to pay to be a part of this, to vote on polls and create categories and be a voting member of this, right? Well, number one, these things cost money, right? When it comes to physical events, you probably know better than anybody, if you've done any sort of physical event, it costs to run a venue, it costs to do AV, it costs to do, everything associated with an event. And as somebody who's done events in the past, hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on these events, I know what that's like. And these things cost money, and the price has only gotten up over the last several years for producing these events, right?
But why wouldn't you have a roadmap or a budget or an idea?
Because we don't know what the audience looks like right now, and we said the audience is
so
very
why
simple. We said that in 2024 we're going to have a digital event, and then 2025 the idea is we want to do a physical event, right?
Yeah, but you've let that scale be either Buffalo Wild Wings or a huge event.
Fucking
like,
yeah.
So why for a digital event then? Why are you charging the money that for a physical event that you don't know what it's going to be yet? Why not just make it a $1 entry fee to put something skin in the game?
Yeah, as I said, the idea is that we're saving money for next year to have that physical event. And I don't care if it's at a Buffalo Wild Wings, or I don't care if it's at the American Airlines Center in downtown Dallas, with 16,000 people at it. But the idea is that it could be any scale. It just depends on what the audience is. And right now the audience has shown that it's there. I think that if we get to 1,000 members, right now we're just over 200 and more people are signing up like literally right now. Then I think that puts us at a realistic opportunity to put together a pretty nice award show. 30,000 after payment processing and stuff, it's probably about $27,000, which is more than enough for venue rental, AV, streaming the event, things like that. Some travel associated with all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, realistically, these things cost money, and the idea is save and be, I think that's the thing that is most lost on this is, right? Nobody's looking to be a part of this to make money at all, right? As I said earlier, this is meant to be a thank you to the industry more than anything else. Nobody's making any money on this. Will somebody probably will we pay for travel for people, for presenters and stuff to come in? Sure, right? But we're not looking to generate any like revenue or to make any money on this, right? It's not like this is something to have a very nominal $30 for a year. I think is very fair. It's enough to where those who want to create havoc won't have interest, and it's those who it's also low enough to where those who want to contribute can still contribute. It's 8 cents a day.
I mean, I'm not against you. Like I said, I didn't call you a grifter or anything like that for running an award show. I think I totally on the ball for alternative award shows run by gamers. I have no issue with that. I'd like to see a roadmap for what this wants to be. But if you're not worried about it being taken seriously and it's just your audience that you care about,
seriously by who?
I think anybody that's voting in it. Like what's the authority of it? Like you have the guy that's running a Steam group as part of your board. What authority does he have other than he put games on a list?
He cultivated such a huge amount of supporters for that. That actually was a great accomplishment. And what's cool about it was this was somebody who was just among them. This is somebody who's okay. He's just a normal gamer that started this up, and it just shows how like-minded a lot of people are. So I think that's a huge part of the appeal. If you want notoriety or we need these esteemed,
no, all of these, that either.
If you can't be respected without that, I mean, I think the fact that it's like, okay, this is truly is for gamers by gamers, as cheesy as that sound, there's an appeal with that.
And let me
I would combat that. Well, hold on a sec. I would combat that because the people on your board do have no notoriety. One of them runs Geeks and Gamers, and the other one runs a major Steam group.
Right.
You're just pulling from a different group of people. That's not what you consider access media.
No. Well,
why not have a mixture of both?
Let me answer your question about Cabrutus. Right. Cabrutus's group has 400,000 people who are willing to either buy or not buy a game based off of its involvement of the activism in these games, right? That group is worth tens of millions of dollars because that is people who are willing to say no with their wallet. Our board is built up with the idea of people being of people who have influence on YouTube as well as gamers as a whole, people who represent the average gamer. Cabrutus represents the normal man gamer, the fourth largest group on Steam. That's an accomplishment, and that's something that shouldn't be under, more than anything, the idea that there's 400,000 people that say enough is enough. That should tell you something. Does it not? And what are your thoughts on like Alan here says, our voices aren't being heard. Journalists go against our voices. It's pointless, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Look, there's people, half of the things that people get mad about on Twitter is a single author's opinion.
Or having an alternative to an award show.
Well, that's the thing is,
I disagree with how the award show is being run. I don't disagree with the award show in concept. But
once again, what do you disagree with? I'm saying everybody's welcome. Everybody can contribute.
But they're not. They're not welcome.
According to who?
You.
I'm telling you, everybody's welcome.
You don't want anybody that you consider Access Media being a part of it.
Yeah, I don't want. You're right. Correct. Access Media not welcome.
Okay.
Because there's no point in even doing it at all if you accept it, because then you just have another award show that has more people with room for bias.
What about sites that aren't IGN or Kotaku? What about DSO Gaming or
you're right. Listen,
smaller mid-tier sites that don't have that kind of access?
Anybody can vote. Anybody can vote. It's just a matter of if they're going to be a part of the board or not.
Right.
Everybody can vote. Literally everybody. People who aren't welcome members of the Access Media for the board. That's it. That's the only flag in this whole thing that you can consider possibly saying they're not welcome. That's it. Literally everybody else can vote. That's it. Even our board can't vote.
Sure.
So, how is that saying that people aren't welcome? I'm telling you with my voice right now.
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. It's your video talking about gatekeeping real gamers. Do you not consider me or my audience real gamers?
It depends. I think that your audience, I would say I think that your audience is a different subset of gaming, right? But our audience, we're saying those who are tired of all the nonsense and corporate aspects of video games, then this award show's for you.
That's our audience.
Then they should probably sign up and become members at therealgameawards.com.
We'd run our own award show in that case.
then you should.
Then what's the problem? Run your own award show.
Again, I said I don't have a problem with the award show. I don't have a problem with it. I just have a problem with the messaging of it. If you want to compete against a corporate games award show, which you're kind of,
I don't.
That's the
but
thing.
you do. That's why you call it the Real Game Awards.
Because it's for real people who like playing games. It's not an industry event.
But regular people vote for the Game Awards. You know that, right?
No, regular journalists vote for the Game Awards. It says on their website. It shows you everybody who's a voting member of it right there on their website.
They're part of the board that helps decide what games are going to be voted for. They do not vote for the winners.
So why can't the gamers do that? Why can't the audience
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I think it's when you look at the board of people on the Game Awards, it's all the biggest top tier mainstream sites that everybody knows about. I've always advocated for bringing in not even just corporate sites, but even like people that aren't in corporate anymore, but are big names and well-known names. I've always advocated for bringing in smaller sites that have a more niche audience into those things. But you have to, as I've been told many times by my own team, you have to contact them and request to be added to it. They don't reach out. Or if they do, it's because IGN is one of the biggest outlets on the planet, and that's going to help the Game Awards reach.
What specifically do you disagree with about keeping Access Media out of this show?
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with that being on the board. I think we were crossing wires there on your gatekeeping certain people that you don't consider real gamers. But if anybody can vote, then okay.
No.
That's what I said. I said anybody can vote, so I get it. I get what you're saying, though. That doesn't come across in the messaging of your video. At least I don't think so.
Well, maybe that is a messaging issue. But the idea here is that, once again, at no point did I say anything about real games. I said real gamers on the board in particular. I'm not saying we can't have real gamers on the board. As a matter of fact, I want real gamers on the board. That is, the entire board is built around having, and we'll be announcing more people soon, but the entire board is built around the idea of once again, people who have influence in the YouTube space, right? People who have who represent gamers as a whole, and we'll be announcing people from within the industry as well who want to be a part of this as well. So it's a three-headed monster, the board. That's the idea. And the board is only there to help shape the show and organize the show, right? Sure. At the end of the day, the voice is truly of the gamer, right? The idea of the members who go in and suggest the potential categories, go in, people who are behind those ideas, whatever the categories are, and to really liven up the idea of what an award show is, right? Like, tuxedos are great, but have you ever been to an event, right? I'd much rather have a red carpet instead of tuxedos and ties. I'd rather have a red carpet with cosplayers walking down dressed as their favorite video game characters. That's gaming, right?
Yeah, I mean, even the Access Media agrees more with you. People in Access Media are always criticizing the Game Awards for cutting off developer speeches and not giving the developers time. Problem is, for something like the Game Awards, the average person watching that doesn't want to listen to developer talk. They want to be shown new games.
Well, I think that's the difference between our audience.
Then it's not so much Game Awards anymore. It's, hey, this is our new E3 type event where we're announcing new stuff. That's one of the problems that a lot of us have with what happened with the Game Awards. I mean, the title is Game Awards. Yeah, should it not focus on Game Awards above all else? I think that the whole including, we're getting new trailers for new stuff, that really ruined a lot of it.
Well, people in the industry say the same thing.
Yeah.
So I really would love, like, once again, what do you disagree with about the idea? What's wrong about keeping the Access Media out of this event? Is there anything wrong with that idea?
And again, I said nothing's wrong with that. You can run your event however you want. Even in my tweets, I don't have a problem with you removing the Access Media about it. I have a problem with the way that it's messaged that only you are taking games back. Like that, that just doesn't make sense to me as somebody that every day we're streaming games, we're making content about games, we're talking about games. Our entire channel is not focused on culture war bullshit. Maybe my Twitter right now has been involved in some of that, but even then, I'm still working behind the scenes on planning content for PAX West, going to do this kind of stuff. I think what that messaging is just that anybody that's not on your side of the aisle or what you consider your side of the aisle is not equipped, doesn't care about games, doesn't care about the people making games, all that. I would rather see if you want to do an award show, just make it about that. It doesn't have to be an us versus them thing.
Well, the us versus them, it's us gamers versus Access Media. That's what it is. It has nothing. Listen, Nick, we want developers to succeed, right? We love developers, right? We want the industry to be massively successful. I think that's the thing that you're missing here, right? But we also feel that there's a giant hole, and that hole is the voice of the voiceless right now. Because right now, when you look at articles on your favorite Access Media sites, Kotaku, Polygon, The Gamer, go down the list, gamers don't feel like they represent them, right? At least, what I see online, they don't feel like that represents them. They would love nothing more than to just talk about video games and just to play games. As Mel said, the idea of going in and just playing games and enjoying them, using games as an escape. And for a large group of people who've grown up and played games their entire life, they've noticed a dramatic shift. And they just want things to go back and remove politics, remove all the unnecessary and DEI involvement and everything else associated with that. And I think that there's a giant audience out there, way larger than those who are forcing that. And as you said, activists in these development industries and publishers.
I mean, being an activist isn't inherently a bad thing.
It is when you try to take over other things for that
Sure.
purpose. I mean, look at what happened with Anita Sarkeesian in general. Someone who wasn't even a gamer, who waltzed in and wanted to insert her activism into the gaming space. And she isn't the only one. So to say that this doesn't exist in the mainstream gaming industry is just
Didn't say it doesn't exist.
delusional. It's a real thing. So this is what we're fighting against. We are taking gaming back because these people have walked in and changed everything and tried to push us out. So it very much is a thing.
So let's bring this all the way. And what do you, I don't know, any thoughts on that? Do you not see that? Do you not see that from gamers audience, or are you out of touch when it comes to that side of things?
No, I'm not. I'm not out of touch. I ran the Escapist. I was literally wasn't invited to things. You know, I built everything up on my own, made all my own contacts. I don't have, I'm not in the big games media circles, even if they're responding to me on Twitter right now. I've never met most of these people in real life. Like I've always done my own thing. And that's where I'm at. Have games gotten, I'm trying to find a way to word it where I'm not getting into buzzwords. Have games gotten into pandering areas? Yes. I fully believe games have been pandering, and they're poorly written for it. And I think everybody knows that. Do I think people are being pushed out of gaming? Not necessarily.
They're trying. They literally.
I think if you're not on Twitter, you probably don't know about any of this stuff and probably don't care.
Well, a lot of people are being pushed out of their favorite franchises because they're being changed beyond recognition and they don't want a part of what's going on anymore. So whether it is just on X or in execution of the games themselves, you're losing the people who supported these games and made them happen because activists wanted to roll in and change everything. So they are by nature pushing out actual gamers.
My perspective on that always comes to the business side of things, that the market will speak.
And you don't think that the market has spoken about? I mean, let's go back to Suicide Squad, right? You're like, well, no, it was poor writing, right? I don't think it was poor writing.
No, I didn't say it was. I said it was poor writing alongside poor gameplay. There is no mission design in that game to speak of.
You know what? There were 0 articles written about, Nick. It's poor writing and a poor gameplay.
I made a video about it.
Okay. You're the one, right? But at the end of the day, I don't think that's why people didn't play Suicide Squad. That's, and that's the God honest truth. It had nothing to do with gameplay and story and everything else associated with that, right? That got labeled. That got labeled because of, once again, going back to the activism associated with all this stuff. And, I want to point this out, like, here's the issue with activism when it comes to like taking over properties, is that they're amazingly explicitly like leftist games, but they're made by leftists to be leftist for leftists. But Final Fantasy and Tomb Raider and Suicide Squad, Assassin's Creed, they've all been changed away from their original intent.
I mean, you just said it, most of the people that make games are progressive. So if you want more games to be made that aren't progressive, people need to step up and start making their games.
Okay, but when you speak,
but they're getting. That's the thing, is people that are working for these companies are literally being fired if they express anything that isn't under this whole woke ideology umbrella.
People are losing their jobs anyways.
And the reason why a lot of this woke ideology is forced into games right now is because that is all that is allowed to those are the only opinions that are allowed in the gaming industry right now. So to say, oh, why aren't you making your own thing? They're trying. They can't, because they're getting fired just for having an opinion or for voting for somebody that wasn't approved of by whatever the narrative is.
There's tens of thousands of indie studios. Why can't people that disagree with that make their own studio?
Why can't somebody just compete with Blizzard right now?
I mean, former Blizzard developers are trying to.
Yeah, they're trying, but to say that's just completely, you're dismissing the fact that what we're saying is that a lot of existing gamers are being pushed out of the hobby, and because, well, why aren't you starting your own studio and beating these billion-dollar companies? Well, that doesn't, it's just a diversion from what the actual topic at hand is here, is that gamers are being pushed out of
what
the
is
hobby.
actually stopping you from playing the games that you want to play?
I
If
play
you don't-
retro games. If I want to play the
you don't
games I
wanna-
want to play, I have to play retro. But what's stopping me from wanting to play a continued Tomb Raider experience that is actually in the same vein of Tomb Raider? The fact that they're not making it, the fact that they've changed it and they've hijacked it and they've incorporated all their woke ideologies where, oh, now Lara Croft isn't even a Tomb Raider anymore. She is a restorer of artifacts now. That's what's stopping me from playing it, is that they're not making it anymore.
Do you not understand? Do you not see the trickle down from that, Nick?
No, I do. I'm a huge fan of Halo. I don't really like the direction Halo's gone in. So am I
What
going to
don't
play
you
the
like
next one? I
about it?
don't know. It has nothing to do with the woke policies. It just they didn't even finish the campaign of Halo Infinite, and there's no I have no idea what
This
the
is
franchise
what's
was.
happening over and over with so many titles that have had fans for decades. And we're seeing them transform beyond recognition constantly. And we're feeling like we're being pushed out of things that were very important to us, that we're huge fans of. That is the main point here.
Well,
and
Halo falling apart had more to do with 343 not hiring employees. They just hired contractors, kept cycling people out, so they didn't have a dev team.
So, but Nick, let me ask you. And John points this out, right? He says, "Make your own thing," but when we do make our own thing, we get criticism for it, right? So, like,
well, it's the same song and dance. It's like, oh, wait, you're making something, but I can't be included on it. Now I have a problem with it. When that's exactly what happened with gaming as a whole was, wait a minute, you guys are having fun over there with your video games. I want in on this. Okay, we let them in. Guess what happens? They change everything and push us out. Same song and dance.
As I've said multiple times, I don't have a problem with you creating your own Game Awards show. I had a problem with the messaging of it. I think I'm allowed to criticize that.
Well,
am I not?
but that's you said you
And
are
you're allowed
to
to-
criticize that, but you did say earlier, why can't Access Media be a part of it? Well, you're changing the story constantly.
I did not ask why Access Media can't be part of it. I said, why aren't you reaching out and having a mix of both Access and Media and real gamers? Then you
right,
get
though you're
perspectives from all,
asking
you
why
get
can't
perspectives from all
Access Media
sides.
be a part of it?
You
That's
get
exactly
perspectives
what I
from all
just
sides.
said.
Because here's why
you don't want that perspective from the XX Media because you don't
absolutely not.
That's fine.
There's a bias
That's fine.
there.
Okay. Come on. There's a bias on your guys' side too. Don't even try to act like there's
no.
Bias on our side to like, how is that even comparable? It's like, okay, here are people who are giving codes and are given incentives. I mean, that's common sense to say, oh, somebody who's given incentives shouldn't be on a board to nominate games for Game of the Year and things of that nature. I mean, that's just a conflict of interest. What is the conflict of interest on our part? We're not being monetarily rewarded for any competitive companies or this, that, or the other.
You're not. Are you going to allow any games in that are supported by DEI incentives?
We will have. I guarantee.
If a game is good, I mean, look at Baldur's Gate 3, which a lot of us acknowledge. Hey, wait a minute, which I refuse to play that game, but I can objectively look at the game and the gameplay and all of that and say, okay, this looks like a great game. I'm not going to play it because I don't like the DEI stuff. And I even said during the Game Awards that went last time, I'm like, oh, I understand why Baldur's Gate 3 is there. I don't like it, but I understand why it's there. So to say that no matter what, if a game has woke elements in it, that we're just going to disregard it, that's not true. I mean,
I just asked. And also, like I've said, Suicide Squad, I didn't like the game. It has those elements in it. I didn't think it was good. There's a lot of games that are on those the lists that are out there that I don't think are good. I just don't think it has anything to do with diversity. It has to do with poor writing and poor game design.
Nick, here's the thing. To answer your question, it doesn't matter what we think as far as whether we allow a game to be a part. We have no bearing on that, right? Ultimately, that's the idea of this show, is that the gamer, the audience who plays these games, the consumer is the one who decides who gets nominated, what the categories are, and they ultimately decide who the winners are, right? It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what Mel thinks. It doesn't matter what Jeremy thinks or Cabrutus thinks. The idea here is that we are the organizers and we are creating a plate that we are serving up for the consumer. And it's their job to decide, which which is exactly why access media isn't in, right? There's far more gamers than there are access media, far more. And I'd much rather hear from them than whatever is going on The Gamer or Kotaku or Polygon or pick your website.
Okay, that's fair.
So, any more criticisms of this whole thing?
No, not really. I mean, I we're obviously ideologically opposed, and that's fine. I think that, I just, again, my main thing is just I'd rather see it not be an antagonistic thing. I would heavily support a alternative to the Game Awards. If you make it a great thing, great. That's cool.
But the only, Nick, to be clear, the only people that can be potentially antagonized by this are the access media. Everybody else is welcome, which is 99.999999999% of people who play video games. The access media is this tiny little
what's
percentage.
Skill Up? What's Skill Up to you?
What's that?
What's like a channel like Skill Up to you?
I'm not familiar with them.
Okay. So I think
Skill Up.
Yeah,
I think I've seen him before, but I don't know. So, but
he gets review codes. Would you consider him access media?
Not for the board. No, that's one of the three rules.
I just asked. I asked if you would consider him access media.
Yes. Did he receive access to a code to play the game? Yes. Then he's access media. Yes, absolutely. So, if once again, it's very simple. If you receive codes, we're not saying you can't vote. Go vote. Go crazy. But you can't be a part of the board if you receive any codes. And I think it's very black and white.
Yeah. If that's your criteria, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
I would much rather the board be filled with gamers who have who go out and pay for games with their own money than people who are given codes to play and there's expectations attached to that, right? Whether it's a review, whether it's gameplay, whether it's a stream, along the whole side of this. So, it's very, very clear. Like I said, everybody can vote. I don't care if you're access media or not. You vote, go crazy. I don't care if you work for IGN. I don't care if you work for Kotaku, whatever. Vote, right? Will they vote? Probably not, right? But the idea is that it's open to everybody. It just goes back to the board, right?
It's open if you pay.
It's open, yeah, right. And once again, there needs to be some sort of gatekeeping associated with that, which as we've seen in the industry, whenever there's no gatekeeping, that's when this shit creeps in, and people are tired of it, right? And they are, So you said this. You said you said something. We're opposite sides of this of things, ideologically, or so. Is there anything real quick before I get to that? Is there anything else that you want to throw out there, or any other criticisms that you feel about this that you want to get off your chest, or of me, or of anybody that is representative or on the board that you want to throw out there?
No, I like I said, I think it's an interesting thing that you're doing. I don't know if I agree how it's being set up. We've already talked about that. I don't know funding an event without like a proper roadmap. I'm not sure, but that's your prerogative to do that.
Like I said, in the past, Nick, I've funded events like SGC. This is an event that had 15,000 people at it.
Sure.
And I've done it before, and you know what? I'm going to do it again. And you know what? At the end of the day, my entire career has been built around the idea of catering to the gaming audience. Literally since the day I walked in, gamers, people, the consumer. That has been my entire career. This is no different. I could give a shit about the access media. I can give a shit about the media as a whole, right? I can be friends with them, but that doesn't mean I have friends in the access media, but like I said, I'm not going to offer them an opportunity to be a part of this because it breaks the core rules associated with it. So, as far as the roadmap goes, like I said, we have to see what if there's an appetite for this. And so far, the appetite has been there. People are interested in this idea because, which I think says a lot. Just like there's an interest for people to sign up for a Steam group with 400,000 users on it, right? That can ultimately make or break a game based off of a company's involvement with it. Right. To the point to where these companies that are involved with this consulting firm no longer want that public because it can break their game. Right. It can break the sales opportunities for their game. Right. So, look, I think that you're greatly discounting the amount of normal men and women who are out there who are just tired of this stuff. Like I said, this is an award show for literally everybody except for the Access Media on our board.
How am I discounting it when our content does not take part in the culture war at all?
No, I'm just saying that I think you're really undervaluing the amount of people that are out there, that are tired of this.
That's the audience that I have cultivated through The Escapist and through Second Wind.
But
that's Yahtzee's audience too. People that are both for politics and games and people that are against politics and games. We cater to everybody with what we do.
And
the thing we don't make content about is gossiping about other people on the internet. People in your chat are going to point out at my Twitter to say that.
Right. And as I pointed out to you directly, like you talking about it on Twitter is no different than Smash JT or anybody else talking about it. And to be clear, what is it gossip or is it news? And because at the end of the day, you are a public figure. People will talk about you.
Sure.
You've chosen this position for yourself. Yep. So it's natural for people to be interested in what you have to say. So is it gossip or is it newsworthy? Are you newsworthy or is it just gossip?
I think it becomes gossip when people cherry pick things to make a video about what you say without putting the full context in it.
Okay, let's talk about cherry picking real quick. What about the Sweet Baby article from Kotaku that Alyssa wrote, where she totally didn't include the idea of why the Sweet Baby Inc. detective group was created to begin with? Like, that's cherry picking, right? So don't you see something wrong with that?
Sure.
All right. Okay, so as long as there's a bar, that's the most.
Yeah, I mean the bar has the entire time been a lot of this stuff is cherry picked to create a narrative. The Wukong, or not Wukong, yeah. What's that game from the Chinese studio?
That's a Wukong.
Yeah, Wukong. Yeah. So there's a narrative out that they got extorted for $7 million. Where's the receipts? Where's anything to prove that was true besides what somebody on Twitter said about it?
So if these things are done to create a narrative and to create a backlash, create some sort of narrative, why aren't you calling those things out?
I have in the past.
You called out Alyssa for leaving out that shit in that article.
I wanted to stay completely out of the SBI thing because I don't know enough about it, and neither do the people covering it.
But if they do know enough about it, they know enough to leave certain things out of it, like an entire arm of the story, an entire branch of the tree of the story. Like it was blatantly left out, like to totally fit a narrative. So
and both sides are doing that stuff.
Okay, what have we done? Have we left anything out?
You totally talked about the 7 million extortion story.
Yeah, it's because it's worth talking about, right?
But you don't have any basis for it being true.
Listen, we're not a news outlet, Nick. We talk about things. That's what we do on a day. We're not saying we're not trying to break news.
But why would you run that? Why would you run a conversation about that specific topic if there is no way to even prove it's true?
Because it's interesting. We talk about all sorts of things that may or may not be true every day.
So it's interesting, but audiences don't care if it's interesting. They just take it and run with it like it's true.
So you think the audience is dumb? Like, the audience is smart enough to realize things. We feel our audience is smart enough to be able to take things and digest things and understand it because they're grown-ass men, right? Grown-ass men and women.
You would say that the audiences of all these access media sites are dumb.
So
no, I didn't say that.
Nobody's ever allowed to talk about rumors.
I didn't say that, but I think if you're going to talk about an allegation like that, you should absolutely have more to back it up than just, hey, this person on Twitter said this.
What people are doing is talking about what the context we've been given, and it's like, okay, the viewers are gonna take with that what you will, but it's rumors. These are things that are discussed.
So we as public figures have no responsibility to make sure that we're not pushing stuff like that.
But as long as you say allegedly, then you're okay because this is all allegedly.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Well, I mean, like I said, we never at no point do we say we're a news show ever. We're a podcast. We talk about stuff. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis.
And
right?
we're relating to just the average gamer out there. What would you be talking to with a friend? Oh, did you see what so and so said about Wukong and about how Sweet Baby Inc. and how there could be some extortion going on with that. It's like a conversation you would have with a friend. Us streamers, we're not in a journalistic space, and we're not sharing things as, oh, okay guys, here's some breaking news. It's like, hey, we're having a discussion about what we've seen, and we do show context. When we talk about things like that, we have X pulled up, we have the conversations pulled up. People can see exactly what's being said there, and exactly where the rumors came from.
So where's the line where you won't discuss something?
I mean, that's going to depend on the person. My line is I don't like to try to ruin people's personal lives or anything like that. So I think that there's a moral line to be had there. But hey, if there's some rumor mill about, oh, this company is doing this practice or that, hey, discuss it and look into it and share your opinion, and then ask your audience what their opinion is. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So, and as pointed out by Dev here, like even in that segment, the Wukong segment, I said, this is a rumor and needs more proof to actually believe it. Right. So like, we always try to preface these things whenever we talk about this. It's not like we're at no point we're like, this is fact, you need to believe it 100%.
Let me clarify then that I'm not specifically pointing at you on that. I may have pointed at you in that thing, but I'm talking more widely here.
Well, you spoke specifically about that situation on this show, so
right. But you weren't the only one that covered it,
right?
And you're probably asking, why didn't Access Media cover it? Exactly. I mean, there's nothing there. There's no receipts. There's no emails. There's nothing to show other than some random guy on Twitter said that happened.
Okay, but
that's not something people with a journalist background would report on.
We're not journalists.
But I'm going to expand on that point. I have also heavily criticized in the past many times when people use a random Twitter user to create a narrative about all people playing games. I've also criticized that. I don't think random people on Twitter should be used as a source for anything.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're coming at this as from more of a journalist perspective, but the rest of us, we're just chatting with fellow gamers. We're just retards with an internet connection, as Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers says, and I agree with. That's all it is. Like, we don't esteem ourselves as these grand figures or anything. And so this whole idea, well, don't you have a responsibility for your audience? We see ourselves on the same level as our audience. We're not people that have some sort of authority that they're going to be looking to us for, information and misinformation and this, that, and the other. We're just it's just like chatting with your friends.
Do you, Nick, let me ask you this, and this is pointed out by Anti-Hero. He says, there's a game company that makes games for right-wingers, as they say. Their last game was called The Great Rebellion. Have you heard of this game?
I think I've seen people talking about it recently. Sure.
Okay. Well, it got banned from Steam, even though the violence of the game is more or less on like Mega Man level, really basic, if you want to call it violence. And so why do you think that was? Why do you think it was banned? Because their thought is that you're either completely, like they say, and this is their quote, that says you're either completely unaware or you're gaslighting.
Is there a story to look at?
No, just as far as, well, that's the thing. Who's going to cover that, Nick? Who's going to cover that The Great Rebellion was covered? I
mean, there's games banned on Steam every day. I don't know what the significance of this one is. If it's right wing, I don't know why.
You don't think that? You think Kotaku is going to go out of their way to cover that?
I don't know. I don't work at Kotaku.
Let's be real.
You don't think? Wait, hold on a sec. You don't think Kotaku would celebrate a right wing game getting banned?
No, I think that they certainly would not want to signal boost it because that would drive awareness. The Mandela effect would happen.
I mean, Kotaku doesn't hide its biases. I've said that in the past.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think this is just a reoccurring theme across the entire industry.
I mean,
right?
I was around when people wanted hatred banned.
Right.
That company was people tried to push that company in the dirt for making that game. And now they cover their games. I mean, they made a bunch of games since, so they've been
fine. All right. So what else we got here? Melanie, you got anything before we
No, I just feel like this has been a very discombobulated conversation. It's like, okay, what's the real problem then? If it's like, oh, but why can't Access Media be included? And then we explain it's like, oh, I'm okay with Access Media not being included. on the panel, fine, as long as they can vote. Okay. What about, why are people gossiping? Why are this? Why that? It's like, it just feels like this has been a circular argument. So I don't know. I still don't understand what Nick's problem is.
Nick, what's now that you've heard everything, what's the issue?
Again, I said it can't, my main issue is just the messaging of it. You gave me the context of the show. I didn't know how you were running it. You explained that more. I mean, I'm not going to try to stop you running your own Game Awards show. You can do what you want. I can have my thoughts about it. You can have your thoughts about me and what I do and what Access Media does. I mean, in the end, we're all going to do our own thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you have no issue with it, really, outside of the idea that Access Media isn't asked to be involved.
No, I don't have an issue with Access Media not being involved either. My only point was, I thought you wanted it open to everybody,
and I do.
Right. And so my point was, why not have a voting pool or a board pool comprised of people that you disagree with and people you agree with? You don't want that.
The board doesn't vote. The board doesn't vote.
Right. And you made it clear. I know that. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the point of the board? Is just to set it up.
More or less to organize and set up, right?
That's been explained to me. So I understand that.
So there's no issues.
No, not really.
Awesome. So let me ask you, like, appreciate you coming on the show, right? You feel ideologically, different than us, whatever, right? Do you feel like we are racist or anything along those lines? Like, and if you do, please be transparent, because I don't think we've ever done anything that could ever be, seen that way. But feel free.
I haven't watched enough of your show to really know, Greg. Like, I mean, there's things that you absolutely say that I disagree with, but I mean, I'm not going to. Melanie specifically uses a lot of slurs towards people. Whether you agree those are slurs or not, that's up to you. I disagree with it. I don't feel like I need to comment on people's identities and stuff like that. I mean, you're asking me a very loaded question. I don't know what your personal thoughts are. I don't know you well enough to make a judgment on your character, just like you don't know me well enough to make a judgment on my character. So I usually try to stay uninvolved in this stuff. I don't like getting into shit slinging contests, and the only reason I ever got involved in it in this first place is because somebody was being targeted that I believe does a lot of really good in the industry. Her tweets were drug. I'm not going to name them because I'm not going to put them on people's radars again.
Well, no. Who was being targeted? Because if somebody was targeting them, let us be the first to call the people that targeted them out, because we don't want that. We don't want anybody targeted. If anybody gets doxxed, if anybody gets calls for violence, nobody wants that. And that's the thing. You need to
We're not asking people to fight us in real life.
Right.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. Fight us, bitch. Right. Like nobody's going out of their way to say that. As a matter of fact, we're saying the exact opposite of that.
Well, that's what those are comments you pulled out of context on me that said I wanted to fight people in real life for opposing wokeness. That was never true.
Well, I think you're referencing to was it a video Smash did, something along those lines? But
yeah.
So okay. So I mean, then. That's great. So you see nothing wrong with us, which is great. You obviously, with as far as Melanie goes, you don't agree with some of the things that she says, right? I guess what? I don't agree with some things Melanie says. I don't agree with some things that Blab says, right? I probably won't agree with things that you say, right? But the point is that we can all still talk, and that was the objective of having you on today, and as actually having a conversation here. As opposed to, like I said, Twitter's not real life. These people who are criticizing me on Twitter. 99.9% of them would never show up to be on the show, right? They're too chicken shit. But having that conversation is important, and appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I mean, I've always maintained Twitter is not a place for nuanced conversations. I've been, for the past 2 months, I've had people wishing death on me in my replies, my DMs, my emails, all over the place. For things that were completely taken out of context for what I said.
Then let me. Okay, there's actually something I do want to ask you about since I have you. When you say you need to go after people's sources of their income, what specifically do you mean? Because there have been people who have taken what you've said and taken that very literally and gone after people, made phone calls to people's jobs and taken things that you've said very literally, right? So for you being upset about the way we speak, hello, pot, meet kettle,
Sure.
right? Because there are people who take things that you say. Should you be responsible for their actions?
No, I wouldn't say so. I don't put the I don't put the creators specifically in people. Yeah, sorry, tongue twister there. I don't put creators specifically responsible for what their audiences do, because we all have major audiences. If somebody goes and tells somebody to kill themselves and I see it, I tell them to knock that shit off. Like, that's not cool. Like, you don't do that shit. The people making videos about me are going in and loving comments that are actively telling me to want to hurt me. So, I mean, do
you have any receipts of that?
I do. I do.
Can you show them to us now? Because like I said, we want to be the first to condemn that, right? The idea that if somebody's calling for violence on you, like we don't condone that at all, right? And that needs to be very clear with all that.
Sure.
Nick, at the end of the day, we just want to play games and leave
that's
all
what I want to do too,
right? So it's that's the most fascinating thing about this is you have a section of people who just want to be left alone, who just want to play games, and then you have a section of people who just want to be left alone as long as everything lines up perfectly with their ideological thoughts, right?
That's both sides of the aisle, though. That's not mince words there. There are people that just because there are diversity in games get instantly angry about it and start showing up in my replies and other people's replies to tell us how awful we are, just like people do it to you guys.
I don't think people there are people on both sides, an extreme fringe, who will be upset just because there is a character that is, black or gay or whatever, right? But the vast majority, Nick, and I cannot stress this enough, the vast majority of people, vast majority of people don't care if there's any sort of representation in games as long as it's done well.
Sure.
Right? Nobody
I don't
cares
disagree with that.
as long as it's done well. So, like, once again, you're taking extreme examples.
No, I said there are extreme examples on both sides.
Right.
Just my words there. I said there are extreme examples on both sides that do this stuff. I've seen it. I've been on both sides of it. I ran the Escapist. When I took it over, it was still coming off of Gamergate stuff. I've gotten it all from everybody. I don't have a moment's peace unless I just stay in the middle of things in some form. And I put my glasses on to find these things.
I think this conversation was honestly kind of pointless. I don't think anyone's seen like each other's sides whatsoever. I think the goalpost just keeps moving and moving and moving. I think there are genuine concerns for this award show, but none of them were actually addressed here. So I
like
don't
what?
know. And also the Suicide Squad stuff. That game was terrible because the gameplay was just bad. Yeah, it had a lot of DEI in it, but everyone was turned off just from seeing the trailer and going, "That looks like shit. I'm not gonna play that." So
yeah, I mean the other point I was gonna bring up on Wukong in relation to that was like that game's been on most anticipated lists across all of media for months, and suddenly there's a narrative that all of games media hates it.
Well, let me ask you this: if when it comes to like DEI and diversity in games, right? Do you not see how forced diversity could lead to lower quality in games? Like if you explicitly hire less capable employees because they're part of a specific, diverse characteristic group, you can get a product that is lesser quality while still having, full representation. Do you not see how that can lead to a lower quality just by saying, hey, this person is more talented, but you fit this, you check this box. Can you not see how that may be an issue?
Sure. I'd agree with that. I think you should hire people for their talent. Like I've always done that. Again, I don't think it has really to do with diversity. I think it has more to do with hiring people that aren't skilled for the job that they want to be in. And I also think a lot of the pandering and issues in games, it comes down to just poor writing, which I don't think anybody playing games is going to disagree that writing in games has not been great lately.
Well, I'll say this. I think that reach a good point. But I do think that I would love to see the receipts of what you were talking about earlier, right? So if you want to DM them to me, right? You don't need to put them public if you don't want, right? But if you want to DM them to me, I'd gladly check them out. But like I said, I will be the first to condemn any sort of marks of, acts of violence or anybody saying they want to do anything bad to you or your family.
I sent you, the whole Smash JT thing. I sent you the stuff from the Syncquisition, and I told you I'd send you the emails. That was he co-opted. We took down a GitHub page that had created a straight up hit list of people in the industry with goals to exercise them and all this other bullshit. So we took that list down, and then I emailed Smash JT to say, hey, we just took down this list. A lot of the same people that were on this list are on your list. I would like you to remove that list. I emailed Wix about taking down that specific page. They took down the entire website. I did not ask for his entire website to be taken down. And I specifically told him, I don't care if you make videos. I don't care if you write articles about me. Just don't give people an easy to access list to target these people right now when they're already getting death threats and all that kind of stuff. And I have the receipts. I'm happy to send those to you.
So once again, you feel like this list on smashjt.com, this Kotaku detected list, you see this as a hit list?
No. I said there was another user, his username on Twitter is like Syncquisition or something like that. He made a GitHub page that had a whole list of people with like this whole religious doctrine to exercise us and all that. And then when we dug into who it was, like a traveling nomad, this dude was not right in the head. So we got that taken down, and almost at the same time, as soon as we got that taken down, then Kotaku Detected popped up with a lot of the same people on that list. I've never said Smash JT's list is a hit list. Do I think it's a targeted list? Yes, but I don't think he's trying to get anybody killed. I think it's targeted to half of the links on there are just things he disagrees with. It's not even like things that people did in the industry. My name was originally on there for supposedly doxing Grums, which I did not do. I've sent you those receipts too, including the timestamp that when the person posted the link to where there was information in there, it was removed within less than a minute. It was gone. Grums was never doxed by me personally or anybody in our audience.
Stay on focus with the Smash thing. So
right, well, it's part of it, right? So he took when that guy that's been stalking me for 2 months now, Giga Bear, whatever you want to call him, he sent those messages to Grums. And Grums claimed that I doxed him, which never happened. Smash JT takes those links, that story that got spread about me doxing Grums, puts it on his website. So he's already defaming me there by putting false accusations against me on his website. So we take down the GitHub list that was a list from another person that specifically wanted to hurt us. Minutes later, maybe even a couple hours later, Kotaku Detected pops up with the same names on that list. And I emailed Smash JT cordially to say, hey, like there are a lot of people with threats on them right now. This list is not a good idea. Please remove it. And he took my name off it. I came back and said, would you please remove everybody off it for right now? I don't care about the articles or videos. And he didn't do that. So then I emailed Wix. I said, hey, this list, here's the list we just took down. This list has the same names on it. We're concerned about our safety right now. Wix said, okay, we'll take a look into it. He thinks that a bunch of people reported it and it just got automatically taken down. Wix specifically talked to me personally, removed his entire website, which I did not ask for, just the page. I just wanted that page taken down.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turned that into a whole narrative that I tried to destroy his business and everything, which comes back to funding sources, where I said if people are going to use their audiences to target people, their funding sources should be removed.
So going back to, with that, right, you talked about, going after people, funding people, mm-hmm. right? What's preventing, you saying, what is preventing people from interpreting that as a threat? The idea that you say, well, like you have to go after these people's funding, right? When it comes to this, because that is you're threatening somebody's livelihood. Like I said, people have called other people's jobs, people's personal, their wives have been called,
Well, I haven't advocated for anybody going after personal jobs. I think if you're going to host something on something like Wix, that's a targeted thing that's breaking their terms of service, I think that's fair game. People have done the same to me. They contacted Patreon and accused and told them I doxed Grums, and then Patreon got into contact with us, and we talked about that, and it showed them that never happened, and it's all cleared. So I mean, like, that's people do this all the time.
All right, Melanie, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'll say this, man. You know, like, look, we disagree on a lot, right? We ideologically, I don't even know where we line up. I don't even care, right? But the point is, having a conversation is important. I would say for us, you know, when you talk about like people who are mentally unwell, look, there are mentally unwell people on Twitter. We just think that there are people who are mentally unwell who have been given positions in the gaming industry, and that's what we're kind of tired of, right? People who have been given positions that they, whether they earned it or not, probably shouldn't be in those positions because they are not mentally fit to handle that. People who, can't tell you what a woman is, and that's where things are a little odd for us. I think for a lot of this, just to put a pin on all this, I think that our audience is a bunch of normal men who, if you were to go back 10 years ago, they'd feel the same way they do about things today, right? And they've seen a lot of change as far as forced change in their hobby that they love, that they don't accept, and they don't understand why that's happened, and they're asking why. But I'll tell you this: they've been able to do. They want to have their voice heard, and that is the entire idea behind what we're doing. So there you go. That's where we're at.
I think probably want a lot of the same things. I disagree with the diversity stuff being an issue and all that. I think it's more, I'm more on the business side of things, where I don't like how corporations are milking brands into the dust and changing them in ways that like just aren't fun games at that point. I think those two different things. I don't think they're entirely connected, but I mean, I just got fired from The Escapist in November for focusing on the audience and not what the corporations wanted. I mean, that's right. So, I mean, I'm always against the corporations. I'm not against the people making the games.
And neither are we. And to be totally clear, neither are we, right? We want them to be successful, right? Nobody here is against anybody. And you mentioned, diversity and DEI. Nobody's against diversity either. Nobody. It's just we're against forced diversity. We want the best product that can be delivered. It goes back to your hiring philosophy. You hire off meritocracy. You want the best person for the job, and we're seeing that not happen in the gaming industry.
That doesn't mean though that I won't look for new perspectives to enrich our audience.
No, that's not what we're saying either. Like,
sure. Okay.
That's why you're on the show.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right, Nick, appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you very much for your time. And if you guys want to follow Nick, you can go follow him over on X, and there you go. So appreciate you, Nick. Thanks for spending some time with us today, man.
Yep. If you follow me on X, just be nice or you're getting blocked.
Hey, real quick, will you unblock Labs?
Well, no, you don't have to unblock me. I'm just curious as to why, since I've never talked to you. I don't actually care. I just found out this morning, but I'm just like, odd to block a random person.
I basically just blocked anybody that was interacting with that Gigabear guy, and anybody that used this. That's the guy that has sent all the. I know. I'm going to explain I'm going to explain the context. That's the guy that has sent all that stuff to Grums, who then ran the story that I doxed him. And he came into our Discord and all that. So anybody that's like interacted with him or Grums, I blocked.
Block by association, kind of like cancel culture.
When the guy's been stalking me, I don't know who's talking to who, but he's been tweeting about me daily for 2.5 months, multiple times a day. I think you would block anybody on that point, but I will unblock you.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you, man.
Yep.
I don't generally care.
Have a good one.
Thank you for coming on. It takes balls.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate. Like I said, we went way over on that, and I'm glad that he came on.
I'm glad he did. Yeah, that was something.
Yeah.
My whole takeaway from this whole thing was just he doesn't like us and he just wanted to criticize stuff, because anytime he actually made some sort of, oh, I don't like that you guys do this, and then we come back with something, then it's just move the goalpost. Oh, now I'm going to talk about this. Oh, or trying to gaslight and act like, oh, what are you talking about? Gamers are being pushed out of gaming. You must not play games then if you think that. And yeah. And so once we kept just actually proving our points, then it was just, oh, I don't have a problem with that. Oh, I don't. Yeah. Very standard.
Right. I see some people say like, that was a waste of time. That's exactly what you'd expect, right? He came on, he said, I don't agree with you on that, right? Because he came on, he had made some statements about the award show, right? And he came on, got clarity, and by the time it was done, he had no issue with it, right? His issue was, hey, you are catering to an audience, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm catering to everybody, right? Anybody who wants to be on the show, anybody who wants to vote can, and he heard that, and look, our audience is people who are tired of this nonsense, and he doesn't see it. So it's just, we'll see what happens from this. Probably nothing, but smash. You guys who create content out there, feel free to take as much of this as you want, post it on your channels. This is an agnostic show. You guys can take as much or as little as you want, clips, and go crazy. So yeah, that's where we're at. All right, look, we're going to need to do a square up when it comes to these super chats. You guys have been extremely generous today, but we are well over our time. So Blabs, can you get some screenshots of those, and I'll do a square up of that in a little bit. I'll do a square up of it over on the Side Scrollers Plays channel in a little bit. That's an entirely separate channel over on YouTube. So we're going to read off every single one of those in a little bit. And yeah, but I will read this one. It just came in with the massive $50. It says, like the Ripperverse, just go out and make your own sandbox, Craig. At the end of the day, the market and fans, consumers will decide your fate. Snort. Now, Jiggles, please. We could use a palate cleanser after that discussion. You know what? Genetically upgraded YouTuber, you're right. We do need some Jiggles.
We actually owe another person Jiggles for the $50 before we forgot. So we owe 2 Jiggles. Oh, me? Oh, I was screen grabbing. Damn it. Okay, where are the boobies?
I got it. Where, there we go. Look at that, Mel.
Oh, my.
Right. Oh, my.
So that's the first one. And number 2. Yay!
Oh, more. There we go. Nice. I'll say this, and you're right? Go out and make your own, just like the Ripperverse. And Ripperverse has been a great inspiration as far as what they're doing with comics. I want to do the same in the gaming space, and we will do the same in the gaming space. All right, look, we got a lot of folks watching. I'll say this. I can't think of a better advertisement than for the Real Game Awards. So if you guys truly want to help make a difference, go over there, become a member at therealgameawards.com. Like I said, it's $30 a year, 8 cents a day. Would really appreciate it if you guys did it. And that's, that is what we're talking about here. That is why culture needs to shift. This is all about culture, and we got to start moving on this. So let's start moving on it, everybody. And it literally starts with you. So, oh boy, look at this. We got some more boobs coming in. Snapple Rye says, sad the song requests are closed. Wanted Mel to sing Fireflies by Owl City. Let's go. Says, but regardless, appreciate the hard work you guys do in getting conversations started like this. That is the point. That is the point right there for sure. Thank you very much. And then Jeremy came in with the 50. Says, great show. Thank you so much.
You were awesome in chat today, Jeremy. I was reading it.
I had a lot of people DMing me saying, hey, can I come on with this? And I would have loved to, but that's not what I offered to him. And I didn't want to feel like he was getting ganged up on, right? So appreciate everybody wanting to come on today and have that conversation, which I think, look, I tried to treat him with as much respect as you possibly can, right? And I think we did a pretty good job of that. So hopefully this can lead to more conversations down the line, right? So we can actually have those, because I think having those conversations is important. So, and then man, you guys come in with those giant 50s. Delta came in with another $50 direct donation. Says, well, look on the bright side, Craig. Nick thought you were an official gaming podcast news site alongside such great shows like Skill Up and Last Stand. Also Blue Post Also, blue post, please. Thanks, Delta. Appreciate that. I will get you a blue for that, and we'll get everybody on the wall in a little bit. But first and foremost, we do need to deliver just a big old set of boobs for everybody. Let's go singular boobs right there. Single boobs for everybody. Thank you very much for the support because people like boobs. All right, like I said, we're gonna do a square. Blabs, you got everything? Everything screenshotted? Okay. Guys, thank you very much for popping in today. That was long. It was tiring. Blabs looks like she needs to go take a nap. I really appreciated that. Melanie, thanks so much for staying extra late with us. I know you didn't have to. You could have left at any time.
Thank you for having me again. It was fun.
Yeah, it was, appreciate you. This is a good show for you to be on. You made some great points and really contributed. So pleasure to have you in. Go subscribe to Melanie Mac on all of her channels. Melanie Mac, Go Boom, Bible Time with Melanie Mac. And any other channels we need to know about, Melanie?
Just those right now.
Okay. We're going to get to clipping. Like I said, if you have a YouTube channel, if you want to make clips out of what you just saw for the last hour and a half, go crazy. Talk about it on your channels. Do whatever you want. Take that for what it is. Like I said, our show is built to be agnostic, meaning share, go crazy. Talk about it as much as you want, because ultimately that will ultimately help grow the show. Go subscribe to Blabs over on YouTube. And of course, you can find me over on the Side Scrollers Plays channel in just a little bit, doing a massive square up with all of these wonderful super chats today. Thank you guys very much for your patience and being great in the chat. You guys did an excellent job. So with that said, remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. Have a great day, guys. See you guys shortly over on the Side Scrollers Plays channel. Bye.
Fatality.